Quiet on set. Picture is up. All right, roll sound.
Rolling.
Roll cameras.
Cam's rolling.
And 3, 2.
Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Hank's Think Tank. Got Alan Taylor in here today, and we're just beyond the May 4th election. And some things have come up about this election. We wanted to have a discussion about it. I want to start out with a disclaimer, though. Me and Alan, neither of us we're not in any way, shape, or form experts in the voting system and how it all runs and how it works. But we're just going to have a discussion on what we think is going on. And I think it might be enlightening for some people and help out a bit, because the timing of this storm versus Election Day was really weird.
Yeah, it was.
So, good afternoon, Alan. How's it going, man?
Oh, pretty good, brother. I appreciate you having me here today.
No problem.
I know we got a lot to talk about on the election, and a lot of people didn't get a chance to, voice their opinion.
Yeah.
And I said, well, when they started raining down on me on that, because, naturally we're the watchdog of the community. Usually when something goes wrong, they come to us to see what we can do about it, what we think about it.
Yeah.
And me, I'm one of those guys. I don't say nothing unless I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When they come to me with this, I said, man, it's a little bit above my pay scale, but I will find out what's going on when get back with them on it. And I figured this is the best way to do it right here today, because I know you know quite a bit about it.
I know a little bit.
Yeah.
Enough to get by.
Yeah, you know a lot more than I
Yeah.
do. That's for sure. And
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them feel like that they want to. We try to get everybody to the polls, right? That's what we always keep telling, everybody, come on, man, let's go to the polls and let's get your voice. Don't complain if you don't get out there and do it. I mean, and we did a number get out the vote rally, which I remember you've been in a couple of them with us.
Yeah.
We just want all the community to come together as one, And I know it's hard to do sometimes, especially in a small community, yes, but now we're not so small out here anymore. We got so many people, man, I think we got, 12,000 people in the last 2 years?
Oh, no, way more than that.
Oh, way more?
Yeah, we're at 700,000 registered voters, I believe.
Oh,
I know the population of Montgomery County is like 700,000.
Yeah.
So it's way up there.
Man, it's way out there. But now, how many people got out to vote the last day?
Last count for the MCED election itself, I believe, and I'm not certain, so fact check me on this, guys, I think it was only 540.
Yeah.
So that was early voting and voting day as well, or election day. It's a low turnout. But generally, a lot of times when these types of races aren't really publicized that well, and this one wasn't.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't even know what's going on, and when they do, they just either don't have time or they think, it's a local election, it'll handle itself, But, you had called me and we discussed a little bit on why that election wasn't moved.
Exactly.
And in that race, there were also some mud seats that were available, and also the MCAD race was there, which is the Montgomery County Appraisal District seat.
Yeah, and plus Conroe.
And then Conroe if you live in that area. So the thing about elections, though, and this is what I found out by doing a little bit of research. I did call Montgomery County elections today.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And they were going to call me back, but didn't get a chance to.
Yeah.
But I did have a brief conversation with somebody down there, and they kind of said, you're on the right track. So elections are actually legal constructions. So it's something that they don't just decide, hey, we're going to do an election, and they have one person put everything together and it happens. It goes through a big process from the entity that has seats that are up for election all the way to the Secretary of State.
Right.
And so it goes through Montgomery County, it goes through the state, it goes through quite a lot to get that election put together, a date specified, poll workers placed, security done, voting booths, machines, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a freaking massive undertaking. So moving one of these, it's pretty near impossible. If it's done before anybody starts to vote, it's a little bit easier. Like if you say, well, we're going to hold our election either in November or May.
Okay, so like you said, if it's already been the early voting,
Yeah,
then
if
got it
early
started.
voting's already started, man,
So-
it's almost impossible to move that election. If there were even a devastating earthquake to where that election couldn't even complete, they would probably at one point, I would think, just count all the votes that were in after things got reestablished
Yeah.
and call it from that.
Okay.
That's how hard they are to move. I mean, they're
Mm.
really, really impossible to move.
Man, is this the first time this has ever happened?
I don't know. I think it's the first time it's ever happened to us locally.
Yeah.
Because it was, like I said, it was really weird.
Yeah, it was. It's normally, that's what's, a lot of, I spoke to a lot of the old timers out here, and they telling me, this is, as long as they've been around, this has never have happened.
Yeah.
Never have. And I know some people reached out to me saying, look, man, I mean, it's always a low turnout anyhow, so
Yeah.
no big deal. But no, that it is a big deal.
No, I agree with you. It's a
you
real
don't-
big deal.
yeah,
You
it
got to
just-
get out and vote.
Yes, and
Yeah.
we've been preaching that over and over and over again. But the biggest thing I always have heard that the system is broken.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. We're wasting our time, and I said no, you're not wasting your time. I said you got to get out there to vote. Here's the deal: if you want to complain, you got to have something to claim with. That is, you voted, now you can complain.
Yeah.
But if you sit back and just kick rocks and still complain about it, then you're not doing nothing about it. You don't really get that,
I agree.
You don't
I
really
agree.
get that to do something like that. And they said, well, look, man, they took it away from me. Even though I may not want it to vote, but that's my choice.
Mm-hmm.
But now they saying you took it from me. And a lot of these guys are heavy voters. I know a lot of them, a lot of my members themselves that wanted to vote that day, but they never got a chance because they got flooded in.
Right.
Or some of the members are out there trying to save these people out there too, trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
And though nobody's thinking today is the last day to vote, we need to go down there and to vote. But we got bigger crises on our hands, and that's what they was trying to do. So some of them feel like they've been the weather got them. They're victims of the weather. Now they're victim of the system too, because they couldn't wait on people like that was out there.
I got you. And I see it, but
Yeah.
but I don't think it points back to a system that's broken.
Yes.
I think it points back to maybe a system that has flaws.
Mm-hmm. That's what we need to fix.
But the cool thing about it is our voting system has been in place since the beginning of America.
Exactly.
And it really hasn't changed all that much. I mean, we've gone more electronic. I think security's more in place. It's become a lot more complicated. Now there's mail-in ballots, and there's a bunch of other things that weren't around in the beginning.
Yeah.
But it is the only system that we have.
Yeah.
And we got to use it, because if we don't, what do we have?
Exactly.
Well,
this put about a
and
lot.
we don't want to get to a point to where we're not voting and we're allowing our government just to rogue choose who they want
Exactly.
to run things. So I see the point that you're making, and I really wish those individuals would have had an opportunity to vote.
Yes.
But the other thing is that early voting was designed specifically not for that purpose, but for the purpose of two things. Number one, they wanted to make it so people who were busy that maybe work on election day, but maybe didn't work or had a day off in there, they wanted to make sure and give enough time to where those individuals could get out and vote.
Yeah.
And then secondly, with the sheer number of voters that we have, if we allowed everybody to vote in one day, more than likely it wouldn't take place, because
Right.
there'd be too many people. The lines would be too long.
Right.
And I used to be one of the guys that voted on election day. I wouldn't go vote early, but now I'm an early voter. I mean, day one, I'll go out there and do it, knock it out, get it behind me.
I do that all
You know.
because my time is I'm everywhere, so
There you go.
I got to get down and do it when I can. But the early voting was a good thing to come
Yeah.
out. But the problem is a lot of people still like the traditional ways.
Sure.
That day of, because I worked a couple of polls for about 3 or 4 different years, and when I'm there, I notice nobody. You don't have a long line like you do in early voting. You got a
Right.
long line from people who's coming out there the day of.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about the day of. More people always show up for the day of than it does on the early voting. Am I right?
Should be a big celebration day. I
Yeah.
think,
Yes.
I think election days normally should be holidays.
Yeah, exactly. So somebody can get out there and get their voice heard.
And
You
also we're celebrating our our abilities as Americans to choose.
That's right. That's
that's a
powerful.
big deal
yes.
for me.
Yes, that's powerful right
know?
there. That's the way to look at it.
So that would be a great thing. And there's a lot of stuff I think we can still try to accomplish and try to get done. And maybe through this process, we've uncovered something that nobody knew existed.
No, it didn't.
So maybe now our legislators will look and go, hey, wait a minute. Next time we have a big weather event or something, we need to
figure out how to fix it faster than trying to make this long drawn out.
Right.
So if somebody really wanted to do something about it,
suspend it,
that's what I was going to say.
Go on or
on
something.
To the next day. Yeah. Now, if somebody wanted to do something with it so this won't happen again, how will you go about doing that?
See, that's the thing, because it doesn't actually fall on one person or one entity or one group.
Okay.
It's like I said, it's a legal construction. It goes through channels. So even to suspend it, it would have to go through and get cleared by this group, then this group, then this group, then this group. That takes time. While that's happening, security still has to be in place for the existing ballots and everything else. Poll workers have to be notified. If you're in the middle of a event like we just had, those lines of communications might be disrupted.
Right.
So it seems like it's still going to be kind of a tough thing to do. But I think hopefully through what just happened, our legislators can maybe figure it out and have something in place. Like there should always be maybe a secondary date.
It should be.
We're going to have, election day is going to be May the 4th.
Yeah.
Unless something catastrophic happens, then we'll move it to May 10th. Or something like that.
That's what I was thinking.
And if it was in place to start out with, then maybe.
Yeah, that's what a lot of. I mean, I remember, a lot of people's like I am when it comes down to this. I mean, all I know is just go down there and vote.
Yeah, it's a tough
But
deal,
what
man.
do you do now when this happens? This is, I said, man, in my lifetime, I never seen nothing like this. So I don't really know how to handle something like that.
But I mean, I wonder what the numbers would have been had nothing happened.
Man, I bet you.
I wonder if it would have been way up there.
I think it would have been way up there because, we've been pushing. I don't know if you've been watching. We've been pushing a lot of people to get out there. Even the ones that has felonies, I tell them you have every rights to get out there to vote. It's still your community. You paying taxes, ain't you? Okay, then you can still vote.
And I don't know what the legalities are on being a registered voter. So, I mean,
but then you got a lot of them that actually has been started doing it. We brought a lot of people to the vote, and they feel good about doing it the first time. Now I'm gonna have to tell them, no, they're down there voting right off the bat. They just something. It just feel like they got some power, And we're working with the young people too, and making them go out there too, as well as my stepson. He turned 18. I had him down there voting. He didn't know how to do it when he got done. I said, "Dang, you mean that's all they have to do, man? I feel different now. See what I mean? That changed a lot of people when they go down there to vote. You actually have a voice now.
Yeah,
when you go down there, you get to give that voice. So now I got some of these guys that was in the flood. Is upset because they wanted to make that choice, to vote. And I know some people tells me, well, it would have been a low turnout anyhow, but how would you know that? If they haven't physically had their choice to do that.
Yeah, but I mean,
they took it from them.
On the grand scheme of things, even during perfect times, these local elections are normally low voter turnout.
Yeah,
and they shouldn't be.
No, they shouldn't
because
be.
I think people think about it differently.
Yeah, they do.
They think that they can affect change on a federal level, but really you can't.
No.
But it's locally where you make the big difference. And here's the reason why. Because let's say you're running for a mud board position and you win, and then after that the mud board does something that I hate. I can actually go to the next mud board meeting and look at the guy I voted and say, hey, man, what are you doing? I voted for you. You can't do that on a federal level. How many of us can afford to go to Washington and face the president or face a senator or whatever and say, hey, man, what are you doing? Not many of us can do that.
They can't do that, no.
Yeah, but we can affect big change on a local level by voting.
Yes.
Voting is a big deal.
That's what I tell everybody, man, and I practice this just about every meeting we're in. You got to get out to vote. You cannot sit back and complain anymore, guys. You got to get out there and make your voice heard.
East County's got to do it.
Got to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on in our community. You got certain groups trying to overrun it, overpower it. I don't know. I just what I've been hearing.
So here's what I would recommend. If you've got a large group of individuals who are upset about what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Y'all ought to put together a letter. Just write a letter and have everybody sign it and put their address on it and send it to your state legislator.
Yeah, that's
You
a
know?
good idea. Because that's what I told you. We've got
Yeah.
some groups out there upset because of it, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know,
And that
they
way,
want their voice
the
heard,
legislators
but
will
that's
be
a good idea.
aware of what happened, and then maybe they can start working on a way to fix it moving forward.
You know, that's a
Nothing
good
we can do
idea.
about this last one,
No, it's not.
but a
It's
letter
not.
will definitely work.
Well, because who
know?
says it's not going to happen again?
Never know.
And if it does happen again, at least we know we got something in, you know, that's ready to go with it. You know,
Yeah.
we know to move forward with it. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we got to, you know, people, man, they've been tearing me up on it, man.
Yeah, and we have local elections all the time.
Yeah,
so.
that's what I told them. So look, whatever happens this one, we just make sure that it doesn't happen again on the next one.
Yeah.
I said that let me find out. That's what I told them. Let me find out what's going on. You know, like I said, you got these groups out there hollering and screaming that they wanted to vote, they wanted to have their opinion, and now they can't do it because I got some said, man, I was out there saving people, and I wanted to vote, but I couldn't. I figured they would move it.
Right.
I said, well, man, I just find out it ain't
Not that easy. Yeah.
No, you cannot. You can't do that. You know, you cannot do that. So, like I told him, we will try to find something out how to handle this. You know, I'll get with somebody. If there is anything that could be done, like you said,
Yeah.
no, it's not. So, how can we fix it on the next one? But that's a good idea. What you just said.
Yeah.
You know, for everybody, these groups to come together and send a letter to the
To the state legislator, yeah. Find
And
out
see
what
what we can
district
do on
you're
that.
in and send it to
Yeah, that's a good
whoever
idea.
that may be.
Because we don't, because we want to fix it so it don't happen again. It's going to happen again, I'm sure.
It's
You know,
possible.
I don't know how this. I don't. You know, it's weird that it's the first time this has never ever happened, at least in my lifetime. That
Yeah,
I know.
and I
here,
think
you know.
it's generally because hurricane season
Yeah,
hasn't really
yeah.
started yet. So
Yeah,
we
nobody's
normally,
seen this coming.
Yeah, we normally don't have storms like this.
Yeah.
It was a big event, man. It was huge.
Yeah, it was. It really
know?
was. I know. I got flooded too. I know. I felt it. I feel everybody's pain.
Did your house get flooded?
Well,
or-
my house didn't, but my trailer in the front did.
Yeah.
And I'm still remodeling it from what happened 3 years ago. You know, I've just been tinkering around with it.
Yeah, I lost some
You know,
stuff due to some power problems,
yeah.
so I understand.
And I lost 2 cars that was in it. I couldn't get it out in time.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was. And on a job site, I have a bunch of material laying out for another project we was doing. It kind of has a back of Kingwood over, and it flooded that house.
Yeah.
And when it did, it flooded everything I had in there too. So I mean, we're still dealing with the insurance on it. So I don't know how that's going to pan out.
Right.
So yeah, I lost a lot of sleep over that, man.
Oh, I'm sure. You know, the good thing is that even though there was a lot of flooding, the water got out of here quick.
It did. It did.
And
gotta
I
say.
was surprised about that. I think that some people were doing a great job trying to
Yeah.
get our flood mitigation together.
Now I know they threw a lot. I heard a lot of feedback because it's blaming it on the commissioner, but I'm not defending the commissioner. No, but it ain't his fault. Not on this round here because that rain come down so fast, so hard, real quick. That's nobody's fault.
Yeah, but I think it was his efforts that resulted in it getting out of here real quick.
Yes.
So I mean, I know he's done everything he can
Yeah,
to try to mitigate flooding.
Yeah, but the deal
But
is,
when you think about it, flooding, and I was even wrong about this for a while. I've been one saying that Montgomery County needs a flood control district.
Mm.
But actually, I think the region needs a flood control district.
yes,
Not just Montgomery County, but all the surrounding
it
counties,
should be.
all the way down to Harris, because if we get rid of our water real quick, where's it going? Houston or somewhere down
Flooding
there, we're going to
somebody
flood them
else.
people out.
Yeah, in fact, that's what's going on now.
Yeah, if Livingston and all that get their water out real quick, where's it going to flood? Down here. So it's a regional problem, and I think we need to look at it that way.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you'd put something together that big to where they could look down on it from a bird's eye view and say, okay, we got to start here and get this water out without affecting too many people. It's a tough job.
Man, that'd be
I
hard to
wouldn't want
do.
it. Yeah.
No, it wouldn't be. 'Cause see,
You know?
same thing that happened, 3-4 years ago, when we had that big flood like we did here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imelda
Again,
or
that
whatever it
wasn't.
was.
Yeah, that wasn't Commissioner Met's deal either.
Yeah.
That
No, it's
just
a lot
that's
of
the
water.
same thing that happened here.
Just a lot of water.
Well, it seemed like every commissioner there's what we just had. Think about it. Look how many years that's been? 3.5 years.
It's been a while since Imelda.
Yeah, and if you look at all that, when we got it's almost like 4 years, 5 years apart.
Yeah.
We're always seeing to get this flooding, and it's nowhere you can fix this, and especially in Precinct 4 because we are exploding everywhere. All these neighborhoods are coming up. Even when I built my house and I'm building now, of course I had to be a certain foot off from grade now. That's on everybody now.
Yeah, a lot of displacement.
Yes, yeah. Everything has to be above grade now to build. It's because right now, this is me. I mean, anybody that's in the old neighborhood, all these new homes all the way around they're building, they're all way higher than we are. I mean, and they're not, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And now I got some new neighborhoods, new houses in my area that they built it up real high, but they can do it though.
Yeah.
Because that's what it says in the bylaws, and whenever you start building things, you got to think it was 2 feet or 3 feet above grade.
Yeah,
I have to go back and look at that. I don't remember exactly which one it is, but I think that's what it's supposed to be in Conroe.
I'm
it's
sure
supposed
it depends,
to be.
But yeah.
In that area, well, they said it pretty much passed that back 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
Everybody must be coming up now.
Yeah, I'm not one of the guys who knows a lot about elevations and such.
Yeah.
I just know that we have a flooding issue, and it's probably going to get worse.
Yeah, it's going to get worse because of the developing all around us. I mean, we just got to figure out a way of doing it.
I noticed the water on my property was different this time than it had been before.
Yeah.
But the cool part is, like I said, after the rain stopped, a couple hours went by, it was gone.
That's what this
like,
one here
came
down. It came down so quick, so fast, man. Yeah. And I looked out in the yard when it first started. Didn't have water. Didn't have nothing there at all. And I bet you wasn't 30 minutes later. I had to look back out there. I got a foot of water.
Yeah, it rained really hard.
What happened? I mean, that's how
weird.
I lost one of my vehicles because I didn't get out there in time to get it. I didn't. 30 minutes. 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It doesn't come up that quick. Like you said, after it all finally quit, it finally started raining out.
Yeah.
And that was a good sign. Normally it don't do that it takes days before it goes away. But it did end up going out quicker than I thought it would be. Really impressed with that. But yeah, back to the voting wise, that's a good thing that we was talking about. See if we can get a bunch of people come together and see what we can do. Sign a petition so this won't happen again. Because they just need to know something. I mean, you got to put yourself in their shoes. They don't know how the system works. Sometimes the ones that we're trying to tell them that it ain't broken, come on. And what about now? What about now? What do you mean it ain't broken?
Yeah, I see
and that's what they don't understand it like I didn't understand it. I said, man, like I tell a lot of them, man, you have to understand. I've been here for 26 years. I've never seen that happen before. Mm-hmm. Never seen that happen before. I said, I don't know if it ever happened before or any. We don't know. I don't remember it.
I'm not sure.
I said, I'm sure it has at least happened time before.
But the guys at Montgomery County elections that I talked to, when I asked them the question, I said, so what all's involved in moving an election? And they were like, that's a really good question. And we don't know. It's that complicated. And so she was going to get with someone and have them call me back. I said, well, I'm doing the taping this evening, so good luck. But I still want to know, so get back with me.
Yeah, we still need to know. So, people need to know, especially one who's listening to us today. They need to know this because I'm sure they're asking the same questions just like me and you was asking.
Yeah.
Like, man, well, I don't know. What do you do?
Yeah.
It never happened before, you know, and like I said before, even if they may or may not have come out, we will never know. It could be one of the biggest turnout we ever had. But
and I wonder how many races were close enough to where if the additional people who wanted to vote that could have voted, I wonder if it would have changed any races. I know that the mayor's race was real close.
Yeah, so it's down there runoffs now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking at that. They might have changed theirs. And these are some of the elected officials. I'm sure they're the one who's complaining the biggest about.
Maybe.
It's because the ones who lost, they could have won.
Maybe.
They could have brought some of their people that was stranded and they couldn't get to the polls, were expecting them to be there. And they didn't make it. And I guess they know, which we all do. We got family, especially in this small area. We all got friends and families. We know who's there and who's not, especially if you work in the polls.
Yeah.
And they hadn't showed up yet. Well, because they're stranded, that means they can't make it here. And at that time, none of us cared about anything other than our
property.
Yeah,
getting the power turned back on, getting the water out.
All that was out the window. We don't care about any of that right now. But as soon as all that cleared out, like we said about the water, that's when that feelings come back up to them. Like, wait a minute. You mean I can't go vote now?
Yeah. And see, I didn't even think about it because I'd already voted.
Yeah,
me
too.
Never even entered my mind. But
that's why I told someone, said, see, that's one you need to go down there early and get it behind you because you never know what's going to happen the day of. Yeah. But we do need to fix this, though. So if it ever happens again, it won't be a big old mess like it is now.
And I think the best way to do that is to raise some awareness with our legislators. And the best way to do that is write them a letter.
That's probably the best way of doing it. You're right.
So so if you did miss out on voting, get with Alan, and those guys can put together something and get it to Janice Holt or Ernest Bells or whoever.
Yeah.
And,
so our state
see
representative.
if something can be done.
That's
You
a
know?
good idea, though, man. I'm glad you told me that. I didn't
Yeah.
even think about that, But yeah, it's just like on anything when it first happens,
Yeah.
It's never happened before. Well, let's fix it so if it does, we know how to handle it without being a big old ordeal like it is now.
Yeah. See,
So,
and I
yeah.
think differently than most people do, man, because like I think government really does work.
Yeah.
I think there's a disconnect though, because people are either afraid to try to exercise their rights and their ability,
Yeah.
or they just don't think they're going to get anywhere with it.
Yeah.
But I think most people would be surprised. Like if you guys wrote a letter and got it off to one of our legislators, I guarantee they'd get back with you and say, hey, I hadn't thought about this. I'm going to work
Yeah.
on it. Or we've heard so much about this. We're definitely working on it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they'll get back to you. And it proves that government works.
It does work.
Just,
we
and just
have
like,
to,
you know,
just
I
have to
really,
ride
I
on
really
it.
hate it when people say that our system of elections is broken, because I don't believe that it is.
No, I don't think
I
so.
think it's the best system we have. And it's been tried and tested for over 200 years. I mean, this
Yeah.
is the one we got. So, but our deal is that we have to exercise it as individuals, and we have to demand our right. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it bothers me when I hear that it's broke, because it's
Yeah.
really not.
Well,
we just
a
got
lot
to get
of
through
them
this.
does, you
Are there
know.
going to be mistakes? Yes.
We're
Are-
going to make mistakes,
And
yeah.
is there going to be fraud along the way? Now, here's the
Sure.
thing. You got 360 plus million people in the
Mm-hmm.
United States. If you think somebody's not going to commit some sort of fraud, it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to.
Is it going to be enough to sway a whole election? I don't know. But it's going to be there. It's like with everything else. You can't find anything that hasn't got some sort of corruption involved. But we have to also learn where that's at and fight it on a local level.
Well, let me ask someone,
You know?
how you feel about the mail-in deal? I mean, vote. You think
I
that's
think-
because every time I hear and at every election, there's always a problem with the mail-in. What's the big deal about this?
You know, I think if you're handicapped, or if you're housebound somehow and you're unable to get out and vote, but you're still eligible and you want to make your voice heard as well, I think you should be able to mail in a ballot.
Yeah,
You
But
know?
they seem to say the mail-in ballot's always throwing things off. Why?
I
Why would
thi-
it be? I don't
and
understand
I'm not
it.
so sure that it does, but it's a good place to point your finger at and go, oh, here we go.
Oh, okay.
You
I
know,
see.
mail in stuff. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's a great place to look for fraud and to start that narrative and say, well, fraud exists there
Yeah.
with the mail-in ballots.
Because I always heard
but
that.
maybe
haven't
they
you?
don't.
Have
Yeah,
you?
yeah,
I
I've
mean,
heard
I
that.
always heard it. I even heard it
Yeah.
on 3 or 4 elections, even on Trump. You know, when
Yeah.
when all that went on, back then. Even that.
And
they
then,
keep saying
you know,
the mail-in ballots
And
was
on
the
those
wrong
big
one.
elections, you're looking at hundreds of thousands
yeah.
of mail-in
Yeah.
ballots. Could there be some corruption there?
Sure it is. That's what
Yeah.
they said. That's what they,
You know,
they claim. That's where it
But
starts from.
But is it so widespread as to change the outcome? I don't think so, man.
No.
You know?
How can you fix that anyhow? How would you know that when somebody, like I said, it's that's the best thing. I would think it would be great for
personally,
them
I
because
think-
they can't come
I
out.
think
they're bedridden,
I think
you know?
they could create an electronic system and people could use that. Vote from their phone, vote from their home, and have some sort of electronic signature that can't be duplicated. You
I
know,
guess that'd be. You know what?
and
That
that'd be
is
the
a
way to
good
do it.
idea
Yeah.
too. See, man, I told you, you got a head on your shoulder. I'm impressed. That's why I
Yes.
always ask you about things like that.
got to be a way to
You
do
know,
it. You know,
it's
there's-
got to be.
and I'm
but-
sure there's people that are working on it now. Are you familiar with blockchain technology?
Mm-mm.
So blockchain is the same thing they use to create Bitcoin and such.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin can't really be hacked or anything else. I mean, Bitcoin's pretty freaking solid. They could use blockchain to do voting with. It would be really hard to set up, I'm sure, but they could do it and it would work.
Yeah.
And it would be literally impossible for somebody to fake a vote in that way.
Oh, that makes sense.
So, but then again,
but
everybody
it
would,
is. That's
then
what's
again,
going on right now.
everybody would have to have access to internet somehow
Yeah.
by some method.
Yeah.
And maybe you could have people go around and help people out to vote or whatever. I don't know. I
see,
don't
that-
have all the answers, but
But that's something I
I
feel
know there's
like
some that
something needs
exist.
to be fixed on that one. At least that's what I've been hearing. But you're right. You got a good point on a lot of that. I didn't even think about that. I mean, because
Yeah,
they
we
always
got
say it's
technology,
taking a
we can
long
use it.
time for
Yeah.
the mail come in. There's some they say, wait a minute, we got thousands or more mail just came in, and it's someone saying it's always when it just came in.
yeah.
So I mean, what do you do with that whenever it like 3 days after the election, and then it's just now coming in? So now
Yeah.
it gets thrown away.
I don't know. See, I
That's
don't
a-
know
that's
anything about mail-in ballots.
Yeah, but that's what they're
you know?
always saying. This is what's been
Yeah.
going on.
And
you know?
I just know that mail-in ballots are allegedly for for people who are housebound or
Yeah.
or handicapped and unable to get out and vote. I
I
think
would just
that's a good idea.
reason why I'm bringing that up, because if we're going to bring this issue up, we may want to bring that issue up too.
Maybe I think the mail-in ballot thing is a whole lot more
Yeah, I
complicated
think it would be too.
than what do we do if there's an emergency, you know.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, see, the biggest deal
You know,
is,
the thing about it is I think this country's going to see a whole lot more emergencies in the future that may not be floods and may not be weather related,
yeah,
but may be other forms of emergency that may postpone or get in the way of elections.
you know,
So we need to think about that too.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good idea. You know, for starters, if those guys had cell phones, even if they can't go, well, you know, because of your trap, you don't think about that. I would say they can do their vote from their phone too instead of being there. But still,
If there was a way
you-
to do it through blockchain
Yeah.
technology, yeah, I think they would have been able to.
Yeah.
You know?
But then at the time, who cares about it? They're too concerned about other things. You know? So that wouldn't
if
that
you're,
wouldn't it
if you're
either.
busy pulling people out of flooded houses and
Yeah,
stuff,
you're not gonna
yeah.
have time for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I didn't. I didn't even think about it. I'll be honest with you, I forgot all about it, you know, until until I started getting all these calls. You
Yeah, and
know,
I heard a lot of people had told me they just didn't get a chance and they forgot. They just had too much going on.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
And I think in the
And
main
there were
ones,
some people who were aware and could have gone,
but
but
it
they
didn't.
just had too much going on with everything that happened.
because they're also
So,
because everybody's
yeah.
infected. Even though you didn't get flooded in or anything, you know somebody.
Oh yeah, we
Or
were
family. I
affected.
mean, you were
Yeah.
over trying to help them too, you know,
Yeah.
and trying to get them over. But you know, even though you know it was there, this is the last day of it, but you just can't do it because this is more important, you know, trying to help others, you know. And I can understand that. And my heart bleeds when they told me, I said, look, man, we've been a victim of this weather. Now we've been a victim of the system too.
Yeah.
Especially us out there trying to save them. And I mean, what's up with that deal? But now, after I sit there, you know, you explain it to me as well, and I've done some checking too. To be honest with you, it's not really nobody's fault.
It's
you know,
not.
it just
happened.
it happens, and
Yeah.
you just got to figure out, you know. So it's everything always happens for a reason, as they say. We just got to figure out what we can do to fix this for the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, we may not be doing anything on this one, but we may do it on the next one. Some people says, man, you know, everybody that I was going to vote for already won. I said, that's when they brought that to my attention. A couple of them, and believe it or not, you know, more than a handful told me that. He said, but I still wanted to make my voice heard though.
Sure. Yeah.
I said, I still want to say I helped got them in there. Now, how can I go say, hey, I vote you in there. What's going on with you, as you just mentioned earlier, when they didn't even get a chance to do it? It was stolen from them. That's what they're telling me. And you know, and I sit there and think about it. I said, man, I guess you're right. You know, I guess it was stolen from y'all, but that's something that we need to fix so it won't happen again.
Yeah, just a timing thing.
Yeah,
I don't think you can really point the finger at
You
any.
can't.
Yeah.
That's why I told him, you know, I'm one of those guys. I'm always a mediator, and I'm not going to be pointing fingers at either way. I'm always trying to find, you know, a silver liner somewhere into this, you know. And that's why I try to tell them, look, no, they ain't got nothing to do with it. Some blame it on Montgomery County. They want their hand picked and what they wanted. Want litters. I said, no, come on, man. I said, you know, surely we all can't be feeling like that, you know. I mean, I understand what happened to y'all, you know, as we talked about already about them feeling a victim.
Well, and then a lot of these races were pretty controversial to start out with.
Exactly.
A lot of
That's
stuff
what
in
I was going to
Conroe.
say. There was a lot on there that, you know,
Conroe's
really.
been wow. You know.
Oh, man, Conroe was a messed
Yeah.
up deal, but ain't nothing like the sheriff race.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Sheriff's
God.
race getting out of hand. a little
Oh
bit.
my God, dude! I never seen nothing like it, man. I'm telling you, I had never seen nothing like it. Like, damn, people being bullied because they say they're voting for somebody
Yeah.
on there, vice versa. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. That's why I told him, man. I was sitting there looking at it the other day. I'm like, man, what is wrong with these people? We're talking to people, get out to vote. It don't matter who you vote for. Me and you can vote for the different person, but we're still, hey, I still love you like a brother. You have your
But
decision.
here's the
window.
thing, and here's where I'm at. I don't care what the hell you're running for. I don't care what position it is. Run on your merit.
There you go.
I don't care what the other guy's doing.
There you go.
I don't care if he's a crook or a liar
Yeah.
or a thief or whatever.
Let it be
That's
him.
none of your business.
That's right.
What's
Focus what you do.
What's your business is how can you do that job better.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a new thing I've been saying. If you want to be a smart voter, vote for the guy who will do the job the way you would do it if you
go.
won.
Exactly. That's what
You know
I
what I
preach
mean?
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And even my members, you know, when we're talking, you know, and like I tell them at these meetings, one thing that we do not ever do, and I never tell anybody who to vote for. I said you would never get on that against somebody else that you're not and start running them down. Don't you ever do that, because we don't do that. And there was one that did it over when Gray was running, and Gray would tell you, I called him and apologize for that. He's no longer part of us, because I make sure that we don't do that. You don't sing laughing mojos or criticize something. You leave people alone.
Yeah.
Just focus what you said you're going to vote for and leave it and stick to that. Leave their family alone. Leave all that alone. Now, if you want to bring point about somebody who's running for something that they got a background, then you can talk about that person all day long if you want to, but leave their wife and kids out of it. And remember, when you talk trash about that person, if it's going to hurt his wife and kids, don't do it.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Don't do it.
Here's
man.
the thing, though. You know, these guys that are running for these positions, they're doing nothing more than applying for a job.
Amen.
So where can you go and apply for a job where you're running down your other candidates?
There you go.
You know,
yes,
you can't go in there and say,
you
"Hey, don't hire John because he steals from the boss."
Yes.
You know, I mean, you got to go in and say, "I'm the best guy for the job, and here's the reason why."
Yeah.
You know,
but you know,
and when we start to get away from that, that's really when the worst part of what we're dealing with as a country right now happens. It isn't a broken system of elections. It isn't anything else. It's the fact that these politicians are spending way too much time running the other guy down and not proving to me why you're a better candidate.
That's what we want to hear.
You know?
That's exactly what we want to hear.
Yeah.
But let me ask something. Has something changed in the last 10 years on the voting?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it gotten worse. Am I right?
Oh, yeah,
the
absolutely.
mudslinging.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I ain't never seen so much of it.
That's all it is, man. It's all Hollywood now.
Exactly. It's all. It doesn't. At one time, we can sit at a dinner table and say, "Hey, I'm gonna be Democrat tomorrow, and you be Republican." And now you do that, you get shot or get kicked out of the family.
Yeah.
What happened, man? To that we can't make a decision for us to be an American.
Here's what happened, and I blame it on football. It's football's fault, and here's why. There's this thing called team mentality.
Yeah.
So when you go to a football game, you got all the guys on one side over here. They're all wearing their shirts and they got their faces painted and they're screaming, hooting, and hollering. Then you got the opposing team on the other side. They're wearing their colors and they're screaming and hooting and hollering, and it starts getting tense between those two groups.
Yeah.
That same type of mentality has gotten into our political system and separated us.
Yeah.
Completely.
You know, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
And then you get the wash and the velocity of information coming from social media. You know, and this isn't necessarily true information that you're getting from social media, but it's coming to you fast. You're getting a whole lot of it. And so you're getting a lot of velocity of information that may be incorrect, and it just drives a wedge between the left and the right even farther.
Yeah, it does.
Then what happens, and I think where we're at now, is no one really knows where they stand, but because of team mentality, they have to be either on the left or on the right. There's no middle guys anymore. There's a few out there who say, well, wait a minute, I believe a little bit in what the Democrats think on this subject matter, and I believe a little bit on what Republicans think on this subject matter, but basically I'm an independent.
Yeah.
Not a lot of those guys left anymore.
No, there's not.
Because it's gotten to the point now to where you have to pick a team, and if you don't, you're in trouble.
Damn, I never thought about that, man. See,
it's all Hollywood, man. It's all team mentality. It's social media. It's velocity of information.
Yes.
I mean, there's just too much, too fast. You know.
Man,
and not only that, but it's all built on narratives and bullshit. I mean, none of it's.
No, you're
all
right.
the stuff we're getting is incorrect nowadays.
It is. Even now they're trying to teach it in school now.
Yeah.
Why ain't we teaching the right thing in school? Just like I try, I know. What about our history? Let's talk about our history.
Hey,
Who
man,
made us, man? Instead of worry about something else.
When I was a kid, I was bitching about why they weren't teaching the right thing in school.
Yeah.
When I was in school, I was asking questions like, aren't you going to teach me how to live my life? Aren't you going to teach me how to apply for a job? Aren't you going to teach me how to be a better candidate for a job?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no, and if you know you're going to be a plumber, or if a teacher knows Johnny's not suited for science. He just doesn't have the mentality for science. Why put him through that?
No, you're right.
You know, I mean, move him out and give him something that he's got the mentality for.
Exactly right.
But they force all these kids through the same curriculum, and we get a bunch of kids that come out not knowing what the hell they want to do. I know a lot of kids, or I've met a lot of kids, 25, 30 years old, and heck, as old as I am now, I claim them to be kids.
Yeah.
That still don't know what they want to do with their lives. And the reason why is because they were never guided to the right type of curriculums to help them discover
Exactly.
what they're best suited for.
Well, see, that's what we do with
Yeah.
the junior tailors that we have. We got a bunch of junior tailors. We want them to see what we're doing for the community. That's
Yeah.
what it's about. It's, you know, I understand stick them in sports if you want to, but to put them in there if they're good if they're good in that sports.
Yeah.
But sports is not going to teach them what we're doing today.
Right.
Get them somewhere where they're going to also learn what we're doing here today and what you want them to turn out like whenever you leave this household. You want them to understand why we help the community, want to understand why we vote, why we do what we do as an American.
Yeah.
Because a lot of places in a lot of country, you don't get to do what we get to do. And people seem to forget that. Well, it is a land of the free, but we got to earn it too, though.
I know,
You know,
man.
and we're
I
losing
hate to
that.
say it,
Live
but
it.
you're competing on an impossible platform.
I know.
When you got every form of media that's bombarding these kids today,
Yes.
and every form of information that's incorrect
Yeah.
that's bombarding them today, and you want to teach them morality, and you want to teach them the right way and the versus the wrong way, and how to behave in society. It's tough, man.
I know it
You know,
is.
and a lot of these kids are so disconnected that they can't even have a conversation anymore.
No, I can't.
You know, they're on their phones. They can text, you know,
Man.
and they can message, and they can certainly post, but they can't actually sit down
And do work.
and have a conversation.
Yes,
you know,
yes, that too.
articulate their thoughts.
You know,
And
I
it's-
never. I got
It's
some
sad, but
guys
it's that
that's-
way.
even in members
Yeah.
when we're sitting down having, you know, we're holding meetings, right? And we always said leave your phone. You know, now we have to put down. Everybody turn your phone off now because always the young ones we seem to have some issues out of because
tough.
of this right here.
Yeah, it's,
You know?
it's endorphins, man.
And it's nothing. It's
Yeah.
almost like it's a habit. And you can't. And I catch myself doing it. You know, I'm like, wait a minute, man, I'm turning into just like when I'm complaining about them.
Yeah.
In reality, I can't complain about them because I'm just as bad. It's addicted.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
but we need to get away from that cell phone sometimes, and then spend a little time with the people around you. Because
to
now,
do.
at one time, remember when we was younger, we sit around the table and we talk about anything.
Oh, yeah.
Now, everybody's got this.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird how bad the phone is taking away from, taking our life over, and we don't even realize it when it comes down to it.
It's
You know,
tough.
and it is, and especially when we're talking about getting out to vote and do things or living, understand what's going on around us. They say, "What's the use? It's broken."
Yep. Yeah, I mean and this is a new world we live in.
I
you
know, and it's weird.
And guys
and
like us aren't used to this.
No,
man.
I'm
You know?
having a hard time adjusting
Yeah,
to it, especially when I work. When I work, man, I'm about to work. And I'm
Yeah.
always, hey, man, would you get off the phone? Get off the phone.
Yeah.
Every time I turn around, whoop, the phone ring.
Yeah.
The guy, come on, man. I get that all the time, and I got guys that work for me now can't stay off that phone. And if I'm not standing there, they lean up somewhere doing this or hiding in a porta can a little longer than shit because they're doing this.
Yeah.
I just don't get it, man. I don't understand.
Yeah.
But like I told them, hey, man, y'all better be proud of you be able to do that, but you don't want to go vote.
It's just because there's too many choices. We
It
just
is.
have
It
way
is.
too many choices.
Well, like I told them, you don't get out there and vote,
Yeah.
you won't be able to do this anymore. So you better understand that voting is why you living the way we are today, because we're making a decision how we need to live, and then believe it or not, the voting is everything, and to put the right people where it falls. Our problem was if you remember back in the day, it wasn't a hard decision to find out who they were, and now today.
It was a little bit easier.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And today, you think it's a lot easier now, but it's not. You
But
don't
the
really
thing
know
is,
who
you
this
know-
person is. There's so much lies out there. You don't know who to believe no more. You can turn one thing and flip it to anything you want. You got people can duplicate anything. And now you don't know if it's true or it's not.
Right.
Remember
Yeah.
back in our days, they didn't have all that. Whatever they say, there's no denying it.
Yeah, you could bank on it.
Yeah. But now they got it so they can change it up any way they want it. They can put your body on somebody else's body today, you know, and say that you said something when you didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to do that, and it's happening all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and I watch it, I'm like, man, what's going on with this country today, man?
Tough.
You know, I mean, now burning our flags and you know, we've been invaded. I mean, this list goes on and on and on. It's things that we never seen before back in our time, you know. And I don't know if you heard about me over at the statue, the same way, you know.
Yeah, I did. You know, and yeah, we have a multitude of problems in this country. So what do? I mean, you gotta pick your battles, I guess.
Exactly. You know? But you know, but back to the voting deal, you know, and I appreciate you gave me a lot of good advice, man, and I thank you for that, man. I didn't think about all that.
The other thing, I want to mention today too, because I don't get a chance to just have conversations that aren't with candidates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I do interview a lot of candidates. Two things actually. The first one is I think any election should have more than its share of candidates. If somebody is running unopposed, I see something wrong there, because any healthy election brings about people who want to be involved. You know what I mean?
You noticed that too.
Yeah. So I think there should always be opponents. There should always be new blood in seats. Things should move along like that, like they were designed to do. That's why we have this type of system. Mm-hmm. It's term limits without term limits. It's term limits without voting.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
The second thing is I think. And this is something that I've just recently come about in my life. I think we have way too many freaking laws and regulations on the books. Mm-hmm. And I would love for once to interview a candidate who will sit there and tell me what he's not going to do as opposed to what he's going to do. In other words, if he says, hey, man, this law is wrong and here's the reason why, and I'm going to work all I can to get that law taken off the books.
Yes. And
this law is wrong and here's the reason why. We need less regulation. We need less laws. A lot of reasons why we don't manufacture anything in this country anymore isn't because a president moved that business out of here. It's because those companies were faced with such an astronomical amount of red tape and regulation. Mm-hmm. They found it cheaper to go somewhere else.
It is, yeah.
So they go somewhere else where they can create the same product at a cheaper rate with half the regulation, sell it back to us, and we're still buying it. You know,
it wasn't.
I mean,
it's still silly as if it was built here.
Yeah, I mean, it's
that Napa law.
Yeah, it's you know, there's a lot going on, but I just think that the more we create laws, the less and less ability we'll have freedom of movement, freedom of choice, freedom of even thought.
Yes.
So you have two mountains in life, okay, or in America.
Yeah.
You have a mountain of freedom, and you have a mountain of enslavement. Now, here's the thing. Most people don't realize this. Whenever you create a law, you're taking a rock from the mountain of freedom and you're moving it to the mountain of enslavement. And the reason why is because every time a law is created, it's restricted your ability to do. So it's restricted your ability to think, be free, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. But it is a restriction on your ability every time. So you got to think about how many laws we've created over the past 200 years. There's millions and millions and millions. So how big is that mountain of enslavement versus the mountain of freedom now? Is our mountain of enslavement bigger or is it smaller?
That's what you're saying. I think it's getting bigger.
You want to test it? You want to test it? I got a great test for you.
Go ahead.
Can you name anything that isn't in one way, shape, or form controlled or regulated by some form of government? I've never found anybody who can name anything. Nothing. And you're going to claim you're free?
No, you're not. And here's the deal. You see how many laws was passed in September that we need to follow?
Well, that's every September.
Yeah, see all that law? Now, let me ask you something.
And how many of them are justified, you know? How many of them are right?
Why do we need somebody to run for office to fix this? Why can't people like me and you fix this? Why do we need any politicians to do this for us?
Because that's our structure of government that we've created.
Yeah, but can we do it?
It's a little bit more monstrous than it should be, I think, but it's still our structure of government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But can people like me and you fix this?
People like me and you can create enough ideas and interest to move it along. See, what another thing that's happened that most people don't realize is we have a representative form of government. So every time you elect someone, that person is supposed to represent your ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But do they? Well, that was weird. That was Alexa. But do they? They don't really represent our ideas. They represent their own a lot of times. So, or they represent another constituency a lot of times, or they represent a certain business a lot of times, or a group of businesses a lot of times. But do they represent the masses, us, the people who voted them in?
Yeah.
So we need to get back to that. What we need to do is we need to force our representatives to heel to what we want because we voted them in.
Yeah.
You know? So if we don't want an open border, then why don't we force our representatives to make laws to close that border? You know, and I'm not talking about any kind of violence or anything like that.
I know what you're talking about. That's something that we need to fix.
What I'm talking about is everybody say, okay, tell you what, we're not going to work Monday. Nobody is. What we're going to do is we're going to march on Austin or whatever, and we're going to all stand there until they decide they're going to do something about it. We want to hear them come out and say we're going to do something about it. You know?
It makes sense.
And maybe that'll work. Maybe it won't. I don't know.
Sometimes it takes the numbers to do so, though. Who screams the loudest is what they're going to hear.
Yeah, but it's who's got the most money? But it's conversations, it's ideas, and it's thoughts like these that we need to carry forward and make sure that our kids understand what's really going on.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like I said, with all the velocity of information and all the bullshit out there, it's hard to really tell what's going on. And we forget a lot of times that all of our elected officials are our representatives. We elected them. They work for us.
Yeah.
So they need to do what we need them to do, not follow their own ideas on stuff. A lot of times these guys think, well, you elected me because I'm a smart guy and I know better than you do. That's not necessarily the case.
Mm-mm.
You know, sometimes it is in some cases.
I mean, for starters, it's like you right there. You got a head on your shoulder. You make a good politician.
No,
you know?
I wouldn't.
You know? You would because you're not a politician.
But I'm also anti-establishment, so
but
I wouldn't make a good politician at all.
I'm just saying, man, because you have a lot of great ideas. You know what people like us need. We the people. We need somebody to represent we the people. Represent us, not just sitting there drawing the money and just tell us what you want to. We want to hear.
Yeah,
we want to see the results.
Right.
We want to see what's going on.
Yeah,
and you know that's when it comes back to any elections that we're dealing with here, especially local. If they're not doing what they're supposed to, then we got to get them out and get somebody in there, like you said, new blood.
I've often thought that one way to fix it is to remove the money from the system.
So that's true too.
In other words, when you run for office, you have to run on your own dime. You can't go out and get campaign contributions. It's not the way to do it.
No.
Do you know that right now to run for Congress, and Congress isn't that big of a deal, but to run for Congress, you got to have a couple of $1 million worth of contributions.
Yeah. Oh shoot.
I mean, it's not like you need a couple grand. You need a couple of $1 million just to run. Heck, to run for Republican chair right here in Montgomery County, you better start at about $20,000. Now, I don't have that kind of money. Do you have that kind of money?
Shoot, no.
You know, now we could probably go out and get that amount of contributions, but then what happens? You know, company A says, "Hey man, I'm going to give you $5,000, but when you get elected,
I want you to
think about me."
Yeah.
You know, and so what are you going to do? Of course, you're going to lean that way. I mean, so you got to remove.
And you still bought.
So you got to remove the money from the system.
Yes.
And if you remove the money from the system, then all of a sudden you've got a system that's a level playing field again.
That's true.
You know?
So how you go by taking that off the table?
It's got to be through legislation, and good luck, because all those legislators got there through money, so they're not gonna want to do it.
Shit, you know what I always heard?
Force it somehow.
This is what I always heard growing up. If you want to earn some money and not do anything, run for office.
Yeah.
I always heard that.
Yeah.
Man. I always heard that.
Yeah.
And I always said, you know, I mean, to be honest with you, I always said, man, I hated politics. I don't give a damn about politics. One day, an old man told me that when I was in my early 20s. He said, "You don't care about politics, huh?" And I said, "No, I don't. I ain't got time for that. That shit don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
Because it don't do you no good." He said, "Well, I want you to remember one thing, and I still deal with this today. It plays in my head." He said, "You buckle up, don't you?" Well, yeah. Okay, you got to get insurance on your vehicles now, don't you? I said, yeah. You got to have a driver's license now, don't you? I said, yeah. So all that was in by voting. So if you talking about I don't care about voting, then why are you complaining about the laws that we have here today? Because it was all voted in.
Mm-hmm.
So you're sitting, you riding the system no matter what. You obeying that system, but you can stay over and not vote a day of your life, but these people over here make a decision for you, and you still gonna obey it because you didn't have a choice to say you don't like what's going on.
Yeah.
But then you're sitting over and not saying that. But that one voice, that one vote could have changed something.
See that seatbelt law that you mentioned?
Yeah.
I've been against that since day one. I'll
Yeah.
tell you why. If you want to walk back to the scene of an accident,
Mm-hmm.
it's your prerogative to do it. When you put your seatbelt on, or if you failed to wear your seatbelt, you're not harming anyone but possibly yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So how can they make a law that removes that choice from you and you only? So here's the thing. Now, wait a minute. If you get into a car wreck and you get injured, you're not violating anyone else's property rights.
Mm-hmm.
You're not hurting or killing anyone else. You're only hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you have, as an adult, shouldn't you
Your
have
decision.
Shouldn't you have the right to do that?
Yeah, it's supposed to. Then you say land of the free.
But you know why they did it, don't you?
Uh-uh.
They did it for the insurance companies. Because the
makes sense.
insurance companies came in and said, hey, man, we're paying way too many injury claims. We got to cut down these injury claims. Why don't we make it to where people have to wear seatbelts, and let's see if our injury claims go down. Did their injury claims go down? Yep. Have seatbelts saved a crap load of lives? Yep. Should they be a law for us to wear? Absolutely freaking not.
It's our choice. Supposed to be land of the free, as we said.
It should be our choice.
Yeah, just like helmet wearing for the motorcycle.
And here we go again, from freedom to enslavement. That's just one stone they moved from freedom to enslavement. I think a good test for any law is to ask yourself, does this violate the rights of anybody else? Will it damage anybody's property or hurt anybody? Or is it only something that will affect you individually? If it is, it's an unjust law. Period. It's unjust, it's bullshit, and shouldn't be there.
Exactly.
You
Think
know?
about when we was growing up. How old are you?
60.
You 60. Damn, you look good at your age. Shit, I'm 57. Okay, I look at it this way here. Okay, when I was growing up, well, both of us growing up, did you wear helmets riding a bicycle?
No, man.
No, hey, man, we're still here today.
that's
man,
right.
I got less sense, but we're here.
Yeah.
Think about it. Even when I don't know about you, I remember showing up at my school with a shotgun in the back of my glass.
Oh, yeah. We had lots of kids that did that.
And it wasn't no big deal.
Yeah.
What happened between now, from when we were growing up to what's going on here today?
Lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking lawyers. Every
That's what it
time
comes down to.
Every time somebody got hurt or something and somebody decided to sue somebody over it, that's when legislation got enacted. Because they didn't want that to happen again. And then you had all the people come in and go, well, we got to make sure and wear a helmet because we don't want kids to have head injuries. I don't want a kid to have a head injury either. But it is the parent's choice whether they force their kid to wear a helmet or not.
Yeah.
If you want your kid to have a head injury or you're not worried about it, then helmet or not. But it's still your choice. When did we not become adults? That's what pisses me off about it, is they treat us like we're not adults and we can't choose for ourselves.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Well, even told now how we need to dress. When they tell you how you need to dress to go to school and get your hair cut and shave and all that before you even go to school, and they make sure you're proper before you go walk through the school. Again, they're telling us how we need to do things.
Can't judge a book by its cover.
And,
some of the
sometimes,
best people, some of the best people I've met in my life were disheveled looking dudes. Didn't dress worth shit and they didn't care.
They didn't care, and they got more money to shake a stick at.
Yep. or just smart, good people.
Yeah, exactly right. Because I got some people I know too that is kind of rough looking on the outside, but they ain't because they don't have the money. They just, hey man, I want to be me.
The snakes are
pretty.
pretty.
Let me be me.
Yep, and snakes are pretty. Look at them; they're all colorful and everything else.
But don't go touching on them.
That's right.
Messing with them because they will strike back. But yeah, that's something about and I tell the kid, my grandkids, and I tell them, look, things have changed over the years, man. It has, and it's nothing like we used to. I mean, the biggest deal is about the gun in our trucks.
Yeah.
But shit, you've been up there thinking
it was an
about
easier
now,
world to live in.
Yeah,
just
it
like
was.
I saw a guy going down the freeway the other day, sitting in the back of a truck. I turned to my wife. I told her, I said, you know, it's illegal now to ride in the back of a truck.
Yeah.
She said,
yeah,
it
man,
is?
I grew up in the back of the truck.
So did I. How the hell? And again, it's that guy's choice. If
Yes.
he wants to jump in the back of the truck, if he falls out, he's not
That's
hurting
it.
anybody.
Nope.
He's not damaging anybody's
Nope, he's
property.
hurting himself.
That's right. And he's an adult. He should be able to choose.
Yes.
And so our ability to choose is slowly been taken away one by one by one.
But
by
nobody
one.
sees that.
Come on, man.
They just slowly but surely move it in there when you don't know.
We're
you know
standing
what I'm
in line and taking our shoes off at the airport. Come on.
saying?
You know?
That's another one. But remember, 9/11 has never happened before. So that's a spinoff that things that's not going to happen again. Same thing with this election we just talked about. This never happened before, but it has to take something like that for us to change something.
Yeah.
But some of the laws that they got out there today, like you're talking about the helmet, I understand if we're doing something that may affect everybody, it's one thing. But if it's something for ourselves, leave us alone.
Yeah.
It's us.
We're supposed to be free.
Yes. Well, let us do what we're going to do. Because at the end of the day, we're still going to do it.
Yeah, it's supposed
We're still
to be
going
free.
to do it.
Maybe.
We're going to take that helmet off. We're
Yeah.
going to ride without it. You know, for starters, in my organization, we voted, all bikers to ride with helmets on.
Yeah.
Well, we got to talking about what happened was, in my organization, we're not all bikers. We're everything there. So we allowed everybody to make that choice for people that rides the bike that don't even ride bikes.
Yeah.
So, they all come to me one day and said, Alan, why are we allowing people that's never even rode a bike a day of their life to tell us how we need to ride our bikes and how we need to ride it? That's not right.
Yeah.
And they're right. It's not. I said, well, then you're right. But we all agreed to this. But y'all want to take another vote? We'll take another vote on this. Just as bikers.
Yeah.
So when we did that, we all rolled it all out. It's up to us if we want it on or not.
Yeah.
We took it off the table. And it wouldn't sit right with a lot of other members that said, hey, man, that's not right. They're going to get killed. I said, these guys are older than you. These guys, that's their business.
That's
Leave
right.
them alone. That's
Well,
what's wrong with our country today. Stay out of people's business.
Well, what's happened, and the other thing is, you know what autonomy is, right? It's like individualism, being able to decide for yourself.
Yes, yeah.
Being able to live on your own, being able to just being autonomous.
Yeah.
Every time a law is created that prevents us from having a choice, it removes a piece of our autonomy. And it as individuals, it puts us under the rule of something else that's not us. We should be under our own rule. We should be autonomous individuals. Our forefathers, dude, do you think they'd put up with this shit today? Seriously. The guys that blazed trails across this country through the forest and fought bears and
element.
Yeah, Indians. I mean,
Yes.
really, seriously, do you think they'd laugh their ass off?
Yeah.
if
You know what they call
saw
us?
Some of the laws that
We're
we.
soft.
Oh yeah, we are.
Yes, we are soft.
We
I mean,
are.
look, we got. Just think about it. We got our enemies on our American soil flying their flag and threatening us on American soil. Tell me, what the heck just happened to us? Why are we allowing that?
And see, that's it. You just said it. Why do we allow? If we allow something, we don't have autonomy.
Right.
You know?
Makes sense. Yeah.
So, and most people don't realize our autonomy slowly but surely is being plucked away with bullshit laws and bullshit legislation and regulation and everything else.
Yes.
So I checked it out, and this is going to blow your mind. Go to McDonald's or any burger joint and get a hamburger and go to your table and sit down and put it in front of you. And I want you to know that in order for you to have that hamburger still wrapped in paper before you even eat it, there have been well over 20,000 regulations to get that burger there.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Think about it. If you knew how many regulations there were in cattle farming and how many regulations there are in the ability that you have to kill that cow and dress it and get that meat to market, and how many regulations there are there, how many regulations there are in trucking, how many regulations there are in storage, how many regulations there are in warehousing, how many regulations there are in food preparation, how many regulations there are all the way down. If you add it all up, it's well over 20,000 just to get you a cheeseburger. Is something wrong? 20,000. And, I talked to a guy about that. He said, well, yeah, but, if you didn't have all them regulations in place, you might eat some bad meat. I'm like, well, yeah, but it ain't going to take 20,000 regulations to ensure that I won't.
Money.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Everybody's going to pay their fee.
Yeah, they say, hey,
Yeah.
hey, when that meat come this way, can we say we're doing
That's
this
it.
so we can make
The
that amount of
truckers
money
have
on
to pay
it?
their fee. The warehouse has to pay their fee.
Yep.
The FDA has to get their money.
That's why
This
so
one has
many.
to get their
That's
money.
why so much is closing down.
Yeah.
That's why mom and pop can't make it no
Unsustainable,
more.
man.
Yeah, mom and pop business can't make it no more.
Mm-mm.
They can't afford it no more. That's why a lot of it is going down. That's why we're losing our American value. And that's why I was throwing a fit about the jersey. I said, man, what is the big deal about the jersey? I said, 2017, 2020, we stood there in the thousands of people to saying what that means to us in South Texas. That's our icon. It's not a billboard. That's not Sam Houston College putting it on them. That's somebody way in Houston advertising their business. Well, that's fine. Found somewhere else to put it because now they got more people coming at it to put more stuff on it that is not up here.
Yes,
and it's not. So when is it going to stop?
Yeah.
This is no longer sacred to us Texans no more. Now we fought it just so they can, instead of keeping it, they can't take it down. Let's just go ahead and make money off it as a billboard. And so Huntsville says, we can do what we want with it because it belongs to us. We can decorate it. I said, sir, that's not decorating. No, is it? That's marketing.
Mm-hmm.
That's got nothing to do with Huntsville. This
Yeah.
got nothing to do with this. This is nothing but making money off something that's real respected for the Texans here. I said, that's what you guys told tailors when we did all this back in 2020, how much it means to us to have it stand what it is there today. But I did not know you guys were going to use it for, to make money. $100,000?
If you ever want to know the truth about anything, follow the money.
Yes. Well, what they say, 5 statues was taken down and stayed, and well, maybe a little bit more. 4 of them's got high-rise buildings built where they were standing.
Yeah.
Do you really think they took the statue down? That's, again, we're talking about our freedom. That statue was taken down because they wanted the land. They got these high-rise buildings built on it now.
Yeah.
It's all about the money.
A lot about
It's literally, like you said, follow the money. It's no more, as I bring us back to us, in all this about the political stuff we're talking about today. Believe it or not, the crosses, our statues, our monuments, all falls all in it together.
Sure.
It's all together. And we have to stand for something, and that's what I said on the interview. We have no backbone no more. I got 3 places that I'll be hitting next week that is flying their foreign flag over ours, loud and proud on a flagpole. And nothing, they still standing to this day. Nobody's saying nothing to them. It's still standing. And they said there's a law. I looked that law up. Do you know anything about that law?
That the American flag's supposed to be on top?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what does it say? They're on their private property. They can do it. It doesn't say anything about that.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, I was trying to check that into it, but now the law is kind of different into that. And I'm looking in. I said, well, what it says is against the law, but it never said, well, you can do it. I'm assuming because it's on their property, I thought they can get away with it. But when I'm reading, no, it's not. You can't do it nowhere, anywhere. It's a felony offense. But it never says, is it jail time or they get fined for it? It doesn't say it anywhere.
Yeah, it's just a gray area.
It just exactly. Yeah. So I don't know how to go by doing this. Yeah. So but I guess I'll be finding out. Yeah, I guess I'll be having to find out next week because I got a lot of military that's with me. They're having a heart attack over it. Of course, we can't go in there screaming and yelling and trying to pick a fight or protest. We don't protest at this organization. We don't have time. I'm voicing my opinion like we're doing here today.
Well, now we're losing our ability to protest in America too.
Yeah, I know. I see
that's
that.
a bad thing, man.
It is. So now we can't. That's why I got to be careful when you say protest.
It's removal of autonomy.
Yes, and that's what's going on. That's why I'm bringing it to the attention today. We're losing it, and you know what happens because one group messed it up for everybody. It shouldn't be like that. That one group, because it was supposed to be on a protest, and they made things worse than it was what they was really there to do, which wasn't the one who started it. Other people fall in trying to use it to rob.
Mean, look at the civil rights riots that happened in Watts and other places like that.
Yes.
Those things, as terrible as they were, actually accomplished stuff.
Yeah, it did. Yes, it did.
So, I mean, and I'm not advocating violent protests, but I'm saying there is a time and place for those things sometimes.
It is sometimes. You're right.
But I mean, it's in the Constitution. It's our freaking right to protest.
Yes.
Period. And it doesn't say it's all right to protest with a permit. It's all right to protest on Tuesday between 2 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right to protest only here or only there. None of that is specified in my Constitution that I read.
But
it's my right to protest if I'm not happy about something.
Exactly. It is. It's forcing your opinion.
Yeah.
So now check this out. Are they allowing them to do that? Saying, look what they did. To see all the damage they did behind them when they did it? Okay, we're taking it away now. Is that what allowing people to do certain things like that, just so they can take more of our freedom away?
Can't do it.
But no, for starters, what they did too, they passed a law, but people don't look. Anytime a law gets passed, you need to look what's on the other side of that law, what it's going to affect too.
Well, not only that, but I mean, and one thing nobody ever does is they don't download and read the text. A lot of times, man, those laws are,
Yeah.
There's a lot of text there. There's a lot of legal nomenclature there that most people don't understand.
No, they don't. It's all in lawyer terms.
And there's a lot of crap that's installed with it that has nothing to do with it that you got to get past too.
But once you pass that, it falls with it. Then all of a sudden you say, when was this? Well, hell, you voted for it?
Yeah.
And I've been told that a couple of times. When they passed that, what the hell you voted for?
Yeah.
I did. That's not what I voted for. You should have read all the fine lines.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the problem. I thought it was just this only, I didn't know they was on it. For starters, when we was talking about building schools, I didn't know they were on the behind it back here. I obviously didn't see it. But when you vote for that, we're going to start, building schools here and everything. But now, and in the back of it, we're raising your taxes too.
Yeah.
I didn't see that part. And I said, what do you mean? You only need to raise my taxes when there's nobody else has moved in here. You don't have a choice to do what you got to do with the people that's there already.
Yeah.
But when you got thousands or more people study moving in here, you still want to take more money from me?
Well, here's the thing though, and I'm caught on that because we desperately need infrastructure here because we don't have enough roads and enough water and enough everything else to support all these people that have moved in. And it does have to be paid for. Where the hell is it supposed to come from?
I mean, Texas is going to have to. But now remember, these guys is moving in there. That's more money that they didn't have on that big land there before.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? Look how many thousands of dollars off him there.
The problem that I have is that I think that our property tax appropriations, at least, where our property tax money goes, isn't number one where it's supposed to go, and number two isn't being transparent to us enough as to where they're spending it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
it's so freaking complicated.
Yeah, it makes sense now.
They've complicated it to the point to where you really can't get a handle on it anymore. I mean, it takes an actuary to look at all that and go, okay, X went here, this went there, and I mean our property. Not only our property taxes though, but I mean everything. Our cost of living, property taxes, insurance. Everything has gone up so much that it's become unsustainable, even for guys that are making good dollars.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest problems we're faced with right now, because if we don't get a handle on it, we've already got a lot of homeless people.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a shitload of homeless people. And you got people right now. I saw a video this morning, as a matter of fact, on TikTok. A guy, I think he's 35 years old. He makes decent money. And he works 57 hours a week, leaves his job, gets into a car wreck, gets hit by somebody else. His insurance company paid off his truck, but didn't give him anything extra. So he didn't have enough money to get another truck. Well, now he's walking to the job he works 57 hours a week at.
Damn.
And after that, they raised his rent, like almost doubled it, and he was already barely making it. So now he's got to move. How's he going to do it? He doesn't have a truck. He's barely making it back and forth to work. It's become unsustainable for him. And what he's saying is, I'm quitting. And the reason why he's quitting is because he can go down wherever you go to get food stamps or whatever it is they call it these days. He can go get food stamps. He can go get a voucher to stay in a hotel or whatever. And he doesn't have to work. If you want to see where we have a broken system, these are the broken
right
parts
there
that we need to work on. And it's so complicated, so interwoven. How do you even pull a single guy out of that and go, okay, we're gonna fix this for you? I mean, I don't see a way to do it.
I don't either. And you brought up a
the thing
good
is,
point on that.
And not democracy, capitalism does this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's already been proven. Capitalism gets to a point to where everything gets raised up enough to where the whole system collapses. So where are we? Are we near that? Are we getting near that? Have we already passed it and we're on the way down?
I'm afraid we're on our way down.
We have to get a hold of what's going on with us. We're spending billions and billions of dollars sending our money out here and out there, fighting wars and doing all this other stuff. What about us? You know,
Right.
really,
That's what I'm saying.
Seriously, what about us?
That's the whole deal. There's no more us anymore.
And so how do you convince your son or daughter who's up and coming and knows, because they've already done the math, they're not stupid.
Mm-hmm.
They know that if they go out and get a minimum wage job, that they cannot even afford to have an apartment on their own.
No.
They're going to have to live with 2 or 3 other people.
Exactly right.
We didn't have to live communally.
Nope.
And here's the thing about it, dude. And I don't want this to sound racial or anything, but it's just the way it is. Most of the time, white people cannot live communally. We don't get along. We're not set for that.
Yeah.
We have our own ways. You know, we have our own ways of doing stuff. And so we can't get 3 or 4 white families together to live in the same house. It doesn't work out.
Hey, you can't even get family to live in the same house without
There
fighting.
you go. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for the most part, it doesn't work out.
Yeah, and
So-
I don't want to sound sexist, but it's the women.
So,
Just joking, guys. I know I'm going to get heat from that.
but yeah, I just don't think communal living is the answer to that problem.
Yeah.
And so what do? You can't force people to reduce their rent, because then they can't pay their insurance because it's
Yes,
going high.
yeah.
You know, then they can't pay their property taxes because it's gone up. So where do you start? You know, I mean, everything's got to start coming back down, but everything has to come back down together. You can't just pick one thing and reduce it, hoping the rest of it will fall into place.
But you see what's going on though. You know, it's you got these people that's coming across the border. We're giving them money. We're giving them a place to stay. We're giving them cell phones. Who's paying for that? Taxpayers. Okay, let's back up to the homeless people too.
Wait a minute. What kind of cell phones are they getting? Because if they're getting iPhones, I'm pissed.
Well, I thought it was, well, I don't know, is it? I
have no idea.
But they're getting all that. At least this is what I've seen and heard on again, it could be all lies. They could be getting 2 phones and 10 times the money. I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know that we over had 4 million that have come across already. And you're telling me we gave them all that? Well, then we still got people that's hurting, that, like you said, homeless on the road, and
But I got a
we're
but I have a
hurting
simple
here.
question that nobody ever asks when it comes to immigration. Just one question, and you answer this question, you probably got the whole damn thing figured out.
Yeah.
Why can't we just send them back? When they come here, why can't we say, wait a minute, dude, you can't walk across here and think
Yeah.
you live here. Go on now. Why can't we do that?
That's what I don't understand either. But they promised them something. No, here's the deal. I've been down there. I got chapters there now. We're working in that area now. But now here's what we find out while we was there. You know, a lot of times you have to be there to understand it. Other than because what you find out right here before it gets to us, it done went from here to here.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm finding out is okay. A lot of people's coming across that border, and I have no problem anybody coming across wants to have a good life. But you got to remember, there's law is in place for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay? But the deal is, and what, the government is trying to say, the system's broke. We have nowhere to put them no more. It needs to stop and fix what we have here now. If we have to take them back, take them back. But whatever it has to do, it has to be fixed first. Don't keep flooding it when it's already broke.
But
Because
the thing
now,
about it is if you send them back right there where you're catching them at, they're going to stop coming because they're going to be like, well, this is pointless. All we're doing is wasting our time.
Yeah, but they promised them something, though, for them to come across. So they promised them these thousands of dollars and cell phones and a place to stay. This is what they're promising these guys. And, yeah, if you're living nowhere poor, you're going to do that. You're going to march through what they went through. They went through, and I have to say, and I have to sit there and talk to them. They went to hell in the handbasket today, if you want to say, coming across all of that.
Sure
There's
they
a
did.
number of bodies has been left out behind. Women and children has been raped. There's all kinds of, you name it, they went through it to get here. Those are the people I feel bad for. But when they get here, we're physically ain't giving them nothing. Do you know they're physically on the streets over there? You know, they don't have no room for them, so they're living in cardboard boxes. I'm seeing all this. You know, I got a translator that's with me. That's one of the chapters up there. Bless her heart. She does a lot for that community, you know, and she's telling me and showing me and talking. We were over talking to these guys, you know, and they living worse here than it was over there because there was promised a bunch. Why was we promising that?
And that's the other thing. If we can't catch them and send them back, then we need to remove the economic opportunities that exist in this country for people who don't belong here.
Exactly.
Remove just make it illegal to hire them.
Yes.
Make it illegal to let them buy land.
Yeah, but you can't hire them though.
But you can.
No, they passed that deal. We can't hire them if they don't have a green card.
Oh, dude.
I know.
I deal with companies all day long.
I know they do it anyhow.
That hire labor.
I know they do it anyhow.
And
but in reality, it's supposed to be illegal.
And the reason why they do it is because those guys work hard.
They do.
They work hard.
Yes.
And they're not trouble. They come to
they
work.
don't. They do. We
Yeah.
have to say that. We cannot deny that. They are hard workers. But now, you know,
But you need to make those penalties severe enough for these companies to where they're like, I'm not doing that crap.
Yeah.
Because I want to stay in business.
Well, it's on the books
know.
though, because I am a business owner and I know what it says. You can't. You're not supposed to hire any of them. They do not have a green card.
But what happens to you if you get caught?
Well,
You lose your
that's
business?
the problem. No.
Well, you
No,
should.
there ain't, you're right.
You should.
But they don't have it. I think it's
mean,
just
no,
a
you should.
fine. I think it's just a
You know,
fine.
and what's the deal with people who aren't American citizens owning land here? Nah.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, and that's not even a debatable thing. Just no.
No,
Period.
You're right.
You know, I don't see the debate there.
Yeah.
You know.
But see,
So if we had a system where when they get caught, we say, hey, just walk back over there because you ain't doing this, and then you remove all the economic stimulus that they may have. A reason for them to come here no longer exists.
exactly.
You get rid of that. Over a period of time, you're going to solve the problem.
Well, there are some that is going back. Now, I witnessed that myself. But now the deal is,
Let me ask you this, dude. Let me ask you this, and a lot of people don't think about this. How many older Mexican, I guess Spanish, whatever, Mexican people do you see in this part of the world, in New Caney and Splendora and all that? You don't see many of them older. There's a lot of younger ones.
Yes, that's what I see.
Where are all the older ones?
That's true. I heard.
They're making money and they're sending that money back.
They are.
Where the land's really cheap and they're buying big places.
Yeah.
And they're going back and they're retiring there.
That's what's hurting the American economy because they're not sinking it back into the soil that they came from. They're too busy sending it. Not just Mexico, Canada, all of them from all overseas. When they take our money,
don't even get me started.
That's what I say. I know that's be another day, another show. But that's going away instead of we're putting it back. But what I was getting back with these guys coming across, which is it's involved in our election again. Why are we promising all of that when we can't give it to them? We only had a limit of money. Well, why didn't we stop this already? Why are we still allowing them to come over here when they're not getting all of this? They're not getting a lot of them are physically living on the street. So tell me, if they're living here on the street, what are they going to do to eat? Turn to crime. That's why our crime is out of hand again. So same thing as what's going on in other counties over there that's having issues with it. They got to go somewhere, but they're not being fed here. They're not giving what they said they was going to give because they tapped out.
Yeah.
They're tapped out, so they're sending them to other cities, but the problem is they're tapped out. So why are we still bringing them over then?
You know, I don't want people to think that I got something against immigrants because I don't.
No.
My folks were both from Holland.
Yeah.
My folks are both immigrants to this country, but they both became American citizens and went on to be good, fruitful parts of society. But still, I understand that sometimes you have to leave the country you were born in to go to a better place.
Better, yeah.
And I can dig it. I'm there. I understand that. But you got to go through the right channel to get here too.
Now,
and we can't just have a flood of people come through
like they're doing now.
Right,
yes,
because
you can't do that.
because it does cost us.
Exactly. The taxpayers or now we are paying for all of that now. Okay,
somebody is.
How did they get
or
this
maybe
passed?
nobody is, and they're just printing money.
That's true. But how did they end up in a? I'm just confused at how the system was broke. And I went up there and talked to the borders, and I'm up there talking to some of the elected officials up here. What went wrong? Now this is what my problem is. We got almost 20,000 kids missing.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Where you got enough to write it down to know where they're. I mean, you got information that knowing they're missing, but you don't know where they're at. That's what I'm confused about. And they're trying to say that, when they come over, they just automatically went to their family. They have family here. They automatically. No, they didn't. They didn't get on the system and hoping to be a American citizen by end up going over there when they know they got to be over here.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of human trafficking.
Yes. And I feel like that's what's going on
this
here.
Is, and really what it is, it's a conflict a lot like a war is, but just without the gunfire.
That's true.
And so in any conflict like that, there's going to be losses. And there's a tremendous amount of losses really on both sides when you look at it.
It is.
But I'm tired of playing with this issue at this point as an American citizen. And it's so simple.
Yep.
Send them back, remove the economic opportunities that exist for them to come here.
Yeah.
And let's get back to what we were doing before all this happened.
Exactly. When I was up there, when I was leaving from Eagle Pass, I noticed a whole bunch of them come across and kept going into the woods. I bet you about 20 of them.
Yeah.
We had to slow down where they're all going across. But they was hitting into the woods. They wouldn't go back down there to where why was those 20 people coming across? They don't want nobody knowing they're coming across.
Yeah.
See
of
my
course
point?
not. Yeah.
So
Don't wanna
this
get
one
caught,
that comes back to what I seen when I was here, and we're tightening it up real fast. I know that's not what we're talking. We're getting off topic, but they come across. Okay, for starters, the system's broke on that border. We only had a limit of money to do what we said we were going to do. Why didn't we shut it down like you said? We should have shut it down long before. We continue to keep letting them come over because now they're hurting themselves as much as they're hurting us over here. Okay, so taxpayers are paying for all that. So we're trying to shift them around. So some of those are still living on the streets because they don't have nowhere to go. Some are going back. I witnessed it myself when I was down there for 2 weeks. And these are things that I see how they're living. Some were living worse here. I can see that, and I feel for them. But they was promised something. Who promised them all of this anyhow?
See, I think it all goes back to our people in federal government honestly believe that there's no end to what they're able to do.
Yes.
They don't think that there's a limit to the amount of money they can spend. I mean, look how much this country's in debt.
Oh, yeah.
Do you really want to be scared about something, dude? I mean, seriously, we are in debt to the point to where us, our kids, our grandkids, and from what I hear now, their grandkids, more than likely can never pay off that debt.
Exactly.
So what are we going to do? We're just going to keep diminishing the dollar by just printing it out.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, because they think that it's limitless. And
Exactly.
there's no limit to what we can spend and what we can do.
That's why we got so many like China over here.
What
Russia's over here.
What happens to a drug addict who thinks there's no limit to how much drugs they can pump in their arm?
Yeah, keep going with it.
And they die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same thing.
And that's
what
what's
happens
going
to
on
a
here.
race car driver who believes there's no limit to the amount of speed he can put underneath that car?
Mm-hmm.
He blows it up. I mean, eventually it ends.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about it is we've lost so much of our autonomy as individuals now that we're not strong enough to stand up and make it stop. And that's what we need to do. I'm telling you, the only way it's going to happen is when we start getting affected to the point to where we can't do it anymore. And we're close because we just talked about that a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Average guy can't even live on his own anymore. You got to be living with a couple of other people if you want to sustain, unless you're self-employed or you're smarter than the average bear and you've earned enough money to where you can get away from that.
But what the moral of the story is, everything we talked about here today, who has the power to stop all this?
Starts out, it's the first 3 words in the Constitution, man. We the people.
The people, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I told everybody. Don't blame the government on how things are going. It's our fault for following it. We could stop it if we all come together as one. But if we keep dividing ourselves and between our race, our religious, I mean, this thing goes on and on and on, so they can divide us and be easy to control us. And like you said, we can't even live together because we also divided because you're Democrats, I'm Republicans. You see what I mean? Or me and you voting for a different person. It's Republicans or we both. Well, we're still fighting amongst each other.
Yeah.
I mean, look what they're doing on social media on the people who's running for office now. They're hating on one another.
Oh, it's gotten
and
bad.
it shouldn't be like that. We should be proud that they at least dividing. I mean, at least saying who they want.
Yeah.
As long as they're keeping civil, saying I'm voting for him, I feel like he can do that. Then leave the people alone. Don't be bullying them because they choose to do that. Not only did this happen on social media, it's happening in people's houses amongst each other too. But
here's the thing, man. The average guy goes to work, comes home, drinks his beer, watches TV, gets up, does it again. He's got no problems. Air conditioning. A lot of people have pools and stuff like that. We live in a very soft, cushy, easy environment. We don't have to hunt for our food.
No.
We just go buy it. So I mean, things are so easy for us. No one wants to make waves.
Exactly.
That's the deal.
But
no one's willing at this point. Now that'll change.
Yes.
But no one's willing at this point to get up and sacrifice all that, or even put it up and say, "Hey, I'm not playing this shit anymore." Because they're afraid the government will come after them and they'll lose all their crap. And more than likely, that'll happen.
Let me ask something. On social, have you ever seen on social media when somebody said, "I killed this big old buck. I'm proud of my buck that I killed."
Mm-hmm.
He got tore up because he shot a deer.
Oh yeah.
But I tell these guys, I said, we fish and we hunt. You want those guys to go fishing and go hunting because you guys don't know how to fish and hunt. You go to the store and get your meat. Now, if everybody just quit hunting and fishing, we all go to the store, you think there'll be enough food for all of us now? No.
Yeah.
That's why we have the ones that go out there and defend for themselves. They need to. For the ones that can't, let them go to the stores and get it. Be proud that these guys are doing that, so there's enough food there. Because if they quit doing all of that, now there's not enough food, and what's there goes up even higher. Yeah. So that's why. That's what you should be proud of that. And the ecosystem was being balanced.
But think about how many 40-year-old guys are out there, executives and stuff, never been fishing, never been hunting. Never had the eye-opening experience of dressing an animal, skinning an animal. Yes. That's an eye-opener for you if you've never done it before. Exactly.
I've been doing that my whole life. Yeah. That's something about it. And it's also, like I told him, if there wasn't enough people out there, thinning some of these animals out, they would die anyhow of starvation because there's not enough food out there. And if you get mad over that, well, quit building and tearing the woods down then.
Yeah.
Because look how much woods we lost here in East County. Yeah, so they can put in more neighborhoods. So that what do you think happens to our animals? They're suffering as well. How many you see dead on the side of the road? Would you like that could feed a family that's dead on the side of the road? Mm-hmm. That's what people don't seem to understand. And I watch it like, come on, man. 10 years ago, nobody cared. I'd be giving them thumbs up.
Telling you right now, our system that we live on, where food and clean water and all that's concerned, it's a delicate balance, man. You got to think about it. How do you feed 360 million people every freaking day?
Yeah.
Do you realize how much food has to be grown? How much food has to be harvested? Just the sheer magnitude of all that to feed 360 million people every single day.
Yes. And just think.
And then think about how much of that we throw away.
Hey, that's another thing I was going to tell you. Yes. Spoiled rotten. Yep. Yes. And I know there's a lot of stuff in the freezer that gets freezer burned because they hadn't ate it. But they had to have all this food at the time, put it in there, and then it gets freezer burned, and they're throwing it away.
Americans are the most spoiled people that ever existed on this planet.
It is. Man. You're absolutely right.
And if you think one day we're not going to pay for that.
Yes, we are. We're paying for it now. We're paying for it now.
Not as hard as we're going.
But I do now. Back up to what we're talking about on these development that we're having around here. Mm-hmm. Okay, and maybe I want to ask you. Maybe you know. Okay, when a neighborhood gets built, and how do they know how many law enforcement needs to patrol that neighborhood and first responders? How many? I was told there's an FBI deal on it. It tells you how many square feet.
I think there's X number per square mile.
Okay,
that's what it comes out to be. Yeah.
So if you have 20 houses, is that equal for one law enforcement, one firefighter?
I would think so. Yeah.
And one MS. Okay, so we have one, and square miles should be one. Okay, so now remember some of this other one that happens over in this other county, over in Liberty County, is how they found, I did my homework on that, and maybe I'm off on it a little bit or whatever. If I am, correct me.
Mm-hmm.
But now these big neighborhoods that they building up over there, I went 3 years ago, well 2 years, or maybe 2 or 3 years. I don't know if you've seen an article with me, and I was trying to get the law enforcement and first responders more money towards their people that they needed for that.
Right.
Okay, so this is what we have here in Montgomery County. I'm getting ready to get to that. Well, they got all these neighborhoods that they built. And when I'm sitting there talking to these commissioners about this, and they keep telling me, well, there's illegals, there are illegals, there are illegals, I said, that's beside the point. Because those illegals are living on land that's been paid by tax. Somebody's paying taxes on every one of those land that they're living on.
Mm-hmm.
Illegal or not, somebody's paying for it. I don't care who's living on it. I don't even care what they're doing with it. I want to know where is that money. Because you're telling me there's only 4 to 5 law enforcement in this great big old neighborhood, and you wonder why crime's out of hand. So I don't get it.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's supposed to feed that, right? But they blame it on the developer. Really ain't the developer's fault, because
sometimes though it is.
When I'm building,
I can give you a great example.
Okay.
So, what's that little development that's down Tram Road when you're going down toward Roman Forest? Rio Vista.
Yeah.
Rio Vista. So when Rio Vista was developed, when it was all put together, somehow they were able to set up their property taxes and such to where none of that money goes to the ESD, which is the fire department. So the fire department doesn't get any of that tax money from Rio Vista. I'm not exactly sure how it all got set up, but
that's why I wanted to talk to you.
I know that's what the deal is. So
I thought it was.
So yeah, and they have fire calls, they have emergency calls, and everything else out there. And ESD7 goes out there, they put out fires, and they go and help people when there's a 911 call, a medical call.
Yeah. So
the fire chief went down there and said, "Hey," I think he went to the homeowners association and said, "We'd like to get X number of, and some small amount, 0.001% of your property taxes to go to the ESD to offset the costs, because we have costs every time we have to go out."
Yeah, they got to. Yeah.
And they laughed at him, said, "Man, there ain't no way. This neighborhood's the way it is, and that's the way it's going to be."
So how did they get away with that?
I don't know exactly how it all came together, but I know that it exists.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many other developments the same kind of thing happened.
Because I didn't know. I thought this is why.
And then you've got like unusual borders. So like, where Valley Ranch is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of Valley Ranch, even though it's in New Caney, doesn't go to ESD 7, which is New Caney's fire department. It goes to Porter, because the ESD boundary was set a certain way many, many years ago. So all that money goes to Porter. It should go to New Caney, but it doesn't. So all these boundaries and all this stuff is very, very complex and convoluted. And so when new subdivisions are being built, there's literally no thought about, okay, we got to provide police protection here.
Yeah.
We have to provide fire protection here.
But
none of that. So if they build that development within the boundary that ESD 7 is supposed to provide service to, then ESD 7 just provides service to it. Whether they get any additional funds for it or not, they just do it.
So it's only homeowner? Is any places that's been run by homeowner association? Is that how it works? Or are you thinking maybe there's a system?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
I just know that there's not a requirement for police or fire when a new subdivision goes in. There's drainage.
Yeah.
There's drainage, and then there's stuff on the water side as well. But as far as police protection and fire, no, it just falls under whoever's purview is already existing there. So like the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department, all of Montgomery County is within their purview. They have X number of police officers that patrol this zone. And if 50 more subdivisions end up in that zone, and 10,000 more people end up in that zone, the police protection doesn't really change.
Really?
Yeah, it just stays the same way.
So how do they...
That's how many officers are already in that zone. Now, the police or the sheriff can go to the commissioner's court and say, hey, we'd like to hire some more people to help service this zone. Then it's up to commissioner's court. They can say, well, okay, we'll give you X number of dollars to hire more people, but
because I work
that
with
doesn't
them.
often happen.
I know. We were talking with them on that, the commissioners, and I was saying, man, why is it that this neighborhood, you're saying it's out of hand, all the crime, because crime only going to grow when there's not enough law enforcement to patrol that in there. So, I mean, that they don't have enough in there, of course. And remember, you probably, here in Montgomery County, East County.
I'm a civic responsibility guy, man. I think that crime gets out of hand in neighborhoods where individuals' civic responsibility is low. And it's low because of education. No, you're right. Not high school or none of that, but education about being a community member.
Yeah.
Education about, hey, your life is extended beyond your property line.
Well,
I'm looking at... you owe your community at least a little bit.
No, you do. No, what we're doing here today, of course.
So that's civic responsibility, and I think that crime falls a lot where civic responsibility goes up.
Right, because I'm looking at these laws law enforcement when they do come to these calls, and they got issues, they need backup. And backup is way out of the way. You see what I'm saying?
Dude,
and this is already has happened.
You got to think about how
times.
big Montgomery County's huge.
Yeah,
and Sheriff Henderson, he's got 500 patrol officers. That's it, 500 uniformed guys for all of Montgomery County. Think about just how big the Woodlands is on its own. Mm-hmm. Think about how big Spring and all that is on its own. Think about how big East County is on its own. 500 guys ain't nothing.
No, I was going to say that 500.
He's spread, and there's no money. I mean, it's not like he could say, okay, well, I'll hire 500 more. There's no money for it. So, we're experiencing growth problems big time out here in a lot of different areas. Police protection's probably one of them. But a lot of these small municipalities and stuff, they've really picked up and done a lot too.
Remember, I'm strictly in our community. I know everybody walks a line from down here clear up to here. When they're telling me in their neighborhoods are having problems, having issues, no law enforcement when they call in, it's taking them forever to get there. I got one I got one that's over off Sorters Road, got his truck broken into. And that's been 3 days ago, and still ain't heard nothing. I mean, and I have more of a list all the way down, and it's nothing being done. I knew a guy that got his tractor stolen, and they wouldn't even go investigate it. He had to go get the camera himself and show him, here's a camera. Yeah. Can somebody please go find this truck? I got it all right there. He had to do it himself.
That's more than likely because they have to prioritize, and they have to be able to fight violent crime.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of drug crap out here still. Mm-hmm. That's a priority. And then people with mental problems is a priority.
Yeah, but the problem is even first responders are having a hard time with it. There's not enough of them here. Yeah. And I always thought, we're
gonna have to grow a lot of these.
We
agencies,
have to, man. Our law enforcement is the main one. We got to get going, or we're gonna have the same problem Liberty County is having because they're way undermanned. That's one is they get nothing but problems. They're way under.
Well, Liberty County is gonna have more growing pains than we do.
Oh yeah,
and the reason why is because they're way behind the times and they've just failed to come up.
When I told them, the reason why I was talking with them, because they wanted to buy more equipment to fix roads. Mm-hmm. I said, no. I said, listen, what's wrong helping these law enforcement and they're going to give tickets out? You're still making money off it. I know state of Texas get half of, but y'all still revenue money. What is wrong with that picture? I mean, wouldn't you want something to say, well, I'm going to buy this for $1,000. Well, I'm going to make $10,000 for the year's up. Yeah. Well, okay, well, then why don't y'all invest in that? Because once you buy equipment, that's it. You're done. You're not going to be making money off from that because you already made your money. So I'm just saying. I said that should be many law enforcement gives out the tickets. Look at the money you'll be making coming back. Then you can buy that equipment with the money that you revenue from it. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm confused about that. But now
the thing about it though is in Liberty County, especially because they have what's the name of that subdivision out there? Terrenos.
Yeah.
What's it called? Yeah. Colony Ridge.
Colony Ridge.
Because of Colony Ridge. Those law enforcement officials pass out a lot of tickets and never get paid, And so, I mean, now they're spending time and money issuing tickets that never get paid. So, I mean, that could be it too. That's a catch-22.
Well, that's true. That's true. But we still have to match what the FBI says you're supposed to have in those areas. The problem is, people don't know about East County. We got just as much problem as they do over there. The only issue is these big high dollar homes in there. A lot of them people, they got money, so they're not going to be out breaking the law, But now but you got to understand, some of these people coming out of these old homes, the old neighborhoods, moving into these high dollar homes, and who's moving in that house? That's what we're starting to have. If you look at it, has the crime went up or down in the last 4 years? If say 5 years.
I haven't really experienced too much of that myself.
Well,
I think we've been okay out here.
I deal with a lot of people that lives out here all over, and I'm gonna remember we're all walks of life, and I'm hearing all kinds of stuff when they're telling me and seeing and they're showing me.
You also have to look at crime in proportion to population growth.
That's what I'm telling you. We're populated, but not enough people to maintain it. But I'm just saying, this is me. The FBI says you're supposed to have it, but how does the law enforcement get these people?
Right.
That's what I like to know.
I'm just saying, let's say that crime runs at 4% per 100,000.
Yeah.
So you have 100,000 people, and with 100,000 people, your crime rate is 4%. Well, then all of a sudden you introduce another 100,000 people into the population. So by sheer math, your crime rate should still be 4%, but you have twice as many now.
Yeah.
So it's still 4%, but that's going to be twice as many crimes at 4% of 200,000. So it's not like the crime rate would double. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if the crime rate is actually moving away from population, then you have a problem. But I think our crime rate actually, even though our population has increased, I think our crime rates went down a little bit. Because Montgomery County's tough on crime. If you do get busted and you have to go face Brett Ligon or one of those guys, you're going to jail, dude, period.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't care how full the jails are. They don't care.
No, they don't. And I hear a lot of people say they're tough on crime.
Oh yeah.
But the problem is it's done double. Even in my neighborhood, I watched it done got out of hand over there too, because
there's probably twice as much crime because there's twice as many people here.
Moving here now.
So that doesn't really mean the crime rates went up. It just means that there's more people. Hence, there's more.
Because I'm talking to law enforcement when they, like my neighbor down the road got broken into. And he's still standing there waiting. He walked down and told me, "Hey man, I know you know a lot of law enforcement. Can you get somebody out here? This is going on 3 hours now." I said, "Man," we're not calling nobody. We just have to go and call again. Call 911 again. And see what happened. But I went down there and seen what happened, and they left everything. They even cut themselves DNA and everything.
And it's too bad that we can't do our own crime reporting.
Yes. Well, see,
this is go down and file something ourselves. And we would need a police officer.
That's what I was going to tell you. I want to do something as a crime watch for citizens, bringing it together. Of course, we did see something, say something, because I could not tell you how many times I have drove down the highway and see a lot of stuff that I call, and then and half the time nothing gets done. Yeah,
citizen patrols are a good thing.
I need to figure out. I need a direct number to contact somebody, that when we see something, not get on, 911 call. We need to talk to somebody in our area, set something up where people like me and you can go on patrol and see something we can call and get it done right then and there. Somebody will get to it.
I do know there's a big organization that runs all the neighborhood watch programs.
No, there is one.
Yeah.
Here?
So it's like national. Okay. So you can call the National Neighborhood Watch and they'll help you get a neighborhood watch set up.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we like.
That's the way to go.
That's the only way that we're going to do to protect our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because we can't. I mean, our biggest deal, as we said before, we're too soft. We're allowing somebody else to handle our business.
But I still think crime is less here than it is in Harris County and Houston. I mean, I moved from there just because it got bad as shit. I mean, it got really bad.
Shit, I'm born and raised there. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
You know what Smiley High School is?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I went to school at.
Yeah. Well, I was in Spring Branch.
At Spring Branch, yeah.
But it got rough out there, and so we moved out here to get away from it.
Yeah.
And
now it's back.
I don't think it's gotten that bad yet. I mean, I'll put it to you this way, dude. Seriously, I lived in apartments, and I took my trash out, and I had 2 bags. So I put the first one outside the door in these apartments, went back to the kitchen to get the other bag, came back out, first bag was gone. Somebody stole it. Trash. It's like, really? Seriously? I mean, and yeah, a lot happened out there, and it was
Well,
time
right
to go.
now we got a number of gains that moved in here from out of Houston that's here in East County.
Yeah.
Number of gains. I think in the last 4 years, I think it's something like 31, 32 that moved here out of Houston.
Well, I thought the gang thing went out in the 90s.
No, these guys are still bringing it in.
That's
I know,
hilarious.
it's weird, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot going on here now,
Yeah.
and they're trying. They're trying to graffiti everywhere now.
Yeah.
Now I'm shutting it down in my area. We're
Yeah.
not gonna allow that. And a lot of times I'll meet up with them and talk to them. And a lot of them are good people. They just
Yeah.
stick
I
it
think
together.
you probably have your finger on the pulse of these neighborhoods better than I do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I stick
Trust
to
me
myself.
on
I
that
don't-
one.
yeah, I stick to
Trust me
myself.
on that.
I
I
don't
can
do a
tell
lot.
you anything, anywhere you want to know. I can
Yeah.
tell you because I know it all because that's my job to know it.
Yeah.
I got a lot of members that's over there likes to change things, or there's a lot of times when there's a feud between groups. I usually, as you say, a mediator. I want to fix this between them. This is our community. We're not going to have that, even in the MC world. We all manage to get along out here. Everybody's getting along. Yeah, I deal with a lot of outlaws. Don't get me wrong. But we all manage to stick together and understand why we do what we do, and we work together. It's a lot of good people that, even though they're considered outlaws, but they're still good people.
Sure. Yeah.
Just don't mess with them. Leave them alone.
I got you.
If you go crossing in their path and then you getting in their lane, then you got problems. That's on anybody. And getting in their lane is like somebody coming in messing with your place. You're going to man it up and take care of it, or your family. Same thing them guys look at. People don't understand. You have to. The reason why I know them very well, because I was them at one time.
Yeah.
I understand what makes them think, because that's my lane. I know. That's why it made me who I am today. That's all I grew up into. Hell, I was a gangbanger back in the day. I lived that lifestyle. I didn't know no different than I know today. But now I see a different way. That's why I'm heavy into the election deal. Get out and make your voice heard. 'Cause I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I didn't think it matters. It does matter. It does.
Yeah,
It don't matter if it's local or federal. It
Yeah.
does matter.
I just want to see people exercise a little bit more of their right besides voting. Voting's
Yes.
great. I'm there, and vote for sure. But also get to know who your legislators are, get to know what their ideas are, and force them to do what they're supposed to do, which is represent the masses.
They're supposed to be.
Yeah.
But now,
Yeah.
one more thing. So you saying that if me and you decided to change some laws, I don't know. That's what I'm asking. So if we decide to change some laws, we got to have somebody represent us, or can we just do it ourselves?
Can't do it yourself. I mean, we could go all the way up to trying our best to write that legislation and handing it to the legislator and saying, here, I want you to support this, and take it to jurisprudence or whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Because what they do in Austin is they form committees, and those committees go over this legislation, and they get their dollars from their lobbyists and stuff like that, and figure it all out, and then they present it, and it either passes or it fails. A lot of times this legislation has to be written a certain way in order for it to pass. So it's not really left best up to the ordinary citizen to write it, but it has happened and it's worked. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you're familiar with Margie Taylor, but Margie Taylor, her son died, and she has taken the time to sit down and write a piece of legislation that she's brought to the federal government. And I think it passed in the last session they did. And so, it can be done, man. If you want to,
I feel like
if you want to change the way things are, it can be done. But the best thing that you can do, really, is to get your elected officials on your side and get them to understand why you want to change these laws.
Nobody. That's the whole deal. Nobody takes them serious anymore. But do you know why?
They got the power, man.
Yeah, I know they do, but it's just like when they go up and trying to fight for something, it's almost like it's just a routine and nothing's getting done. I just push them to the side. But they listen to people like me and you. I don't know if you noticed that. When it's we, the people, stand up and listen, they seem to listen to us now. Yeah. Because we can have the guy that's going to represent us to take care of that. He goes up there, okay, we'll talk about it later. Oh, okay, no problem, go on. But now one of us stepped up there, oh shit, let's listen, because he got a whole bunch of voters behind him.
Yeah.
There are citizens. The citizens get more things done. That's why I went up there with Zach and them to do what I did. I get more things done the same as you can because we are citizens, not because we hold any office. So they seem to listen to that.
Right.
They listen to us, we the people, especially when you have a group behind you, a large group. Yeah. So they're going to want to listen to that because they look at
anytime you have
voters.
Numbers, you're going to have more power.
Exactly right. And that's why we kind of fix a lot of things in our community because of that. You know, and a lot of the elected officials, we don't do any good. They're just going to laugh at us. Well, then let me go with you.
Yeah.
It'll be a different story. They say, Alan, all the things you have accomplished, because, man, I don't know if you know, I got close to over 200 articles written on me, and I've been on national TV 36 times.
Yeah, actually, I saw you on
years.
TV about a week ago.
I know. This 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years is what I have accomplished, and that's not including 3 others before I did this, for here today. But, you know, these are things that I'm accomplishing, and about how doing what, because it's just me, and it's people like me and you is what's changing the things.
Yeah.
These elected officials that we put in the office need help. It's more than that to say, well, I'll hold that election. I was election so I can do it. No, they need people like me and you standing beside them. No, we're standing with them. We had enough. Listen to us. This is what's going on. And a lot of these guys feel like they don't push because they're afraid they may lose their position or somebody higher up kind of, rain down on them. But remember, as you said, we're the one who put them there. We're the one who needs to be standing beside them and get these things going.
Yeah.
And some of these things that I have seen, that a lot of people come to me because they said, you seem to get things done, Alan. It ain't because I'm getting things done. You're getting this as much done. Even this conversation we're having here tonight, believe me, you touch a lot of hearts tonight, what we're talking about here. Because there's a lot that comes at me, and they're listening to what I'm here doing here today to talk about it. They've taken everything down to heart what you said.
Yeah.
Because you go a long ways. Your reputation goes a long ways into the community as well. That's when I always ask you questions. You got a head on your shoulder, and they always tell me, Alan, are you just doing this because you want to run for office? Well, I'm here to tell you, it won't be a cold day in hell before I run for anything.
Yeah, I ain't running for nothing either.
Because first off, I can't, because then I just proved a lot of these haters that hating on me because of what I'm doing. I told you, I ain't gonna give nothing satisfaction.
Yeah,
I'm not running for nothing.
I'm a little too anti-establishment for it, and I've always felt like I could do better on the sidelines anyway.
Well, you can, you're doing this show right here. What we're doing tonight, believe me, it touched on a lot of hearts. I promise you, because there's a lot of people don't know this. Because I didn't know a lot of that, and you open a lot of people's eyes today. Today on what we're talking about, and that's what I said. It's an honor even being here on your show, man. Because you're kicking ass, taking names, and I'm impressed, man. I'm glad to say I call you my brother. Yeah. You are, and we may not always going to look at things, the same, but we're not supposed to.
Yeah.
That's why we get along.
Yeah.
Just like me and the wife.
There you go. That's it. All right, man. So, we're going to wrap it up. But, get out and vote.
Yes.
And I feel bad for, this past election not working out for some people. It's awful. But, at least, I guess the good thing is that it did happen. Now we know this problem exists. Yes. So now maybe we can bring it up in Austin in the next session and say, hey, is there any way you guys could take a look at this and figure out a way to fix it for us?
Yes.
Because we sure do want to be able to vote. And the thing about it is if they care, they'll do something, because it is our right, and it is the best thing that Americans can do is get out and be a part of the whole democratic process.
Exactly.
And, everybody thinks, well, I vote. Well, so what? Everybody votes. Mm-hmm. What else do you do?
There you go.
Get out and be a part of something.
That's
man.
right.
Roll your sleeves up, get involved, get in a fight if you have to.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it is.
It's the American way.
If we're going to make it move, we got to think like our forefathers thought. And I'll tell you what, man, you go read, and where was it? Not the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. The last paragraph of the Declaration of Independence, where it says that upon our honor and upon our fortunes and upon our very lives, we pledge this. And dude, back then, they actually meant it. Yeah. If that thing failed, they were going to die, period. Mm-hmm. So where are we we're as men? And, it's important, I think, that men start to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
That men start to say, okay, wait a minute. If I don't fix this thing, and my son doesn't fix this thing, and nobody fixes this thing, eventually this thing is going to come to an end.
Yeah, well.
So we've got to be the ones to fix it. And we've got to be just as formidable, just as loud, just as strong as our forefathers were, and we got to be willing to bet everything, including our damn very lives, on we have to fix this thing.
We have to.
And we have let it go so far now, man, to where, there's no way in our life, even if we accomplished a lot, there's no way we're going to fix it all. but maybe we can get it started, you know?
That's what I said 100 times about the Taylor's organization. This is not a social club. This is a mission that we're on. We're going to fix what needs to be fixed in our community. It starts in our community.
Yeah.
It has to be. It's one of so many chapters of Taylor's. They're in their community. There are people like me and you. They want to see things going, but it takes a group of us to do it.
It's the only place where you can affect change.
Exactly.
You can't affect change on the federal level. Everybody thinks, I'm going to vote for Trump and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that.
That's not going to fix everything.
It has nothing to do with fixing anything.
No, not in your community. No. It's not going to fix it. The elected officials, that's a local election, is where it needs to be. You need to fix your local election where you live. You paying taxes, you vote here. Don't worry about what's going on in the south of the border. Don't worry about happening in Washington, D.C. Don't worry about what's happening over in Ukraine. You better worry about what's happening in our back door. That's where it matters.
And start at home. Make sure that the nucleus of your life is good. Make sure you got a good family, good marriage, and everything else is fine.
Exactly.
Can't help nobody else if yourself is all messed up.
There you go. And I said that 100 times in the organization. You got to fix us here before we go outside. You know, and that's what I was telling you about before. We don't criticize other people who's running for office. That's another one thing that hurts people is bullying. Come on, people. Let's work together. We are American, man.
Run on
Come
your
on.
own merit.
There you go. Exactly.
Run your own merit.
I just don't understand.
And let's start being strong, formidable American men. You know, I want the world. And this is going to sound wrong, but you got to put it in the right context. I want the world to fear us like they did in the past.
Oh, yeah.
I want them to say, don't mess with America, man.
Yes.
You know, they'll put their thumb down on you. That'll be the end of that.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Right. And the only way that's going to happen is if we, the people, become a formidable, intelligent force once again.
That's right.
And we demand that we ain't putting up with it no more.
Exactly.
You know?
So we lost that along the way. I just don't know how we did it, but I mean, I got just a good idea, but it's the games that they play.
We're soft, man.
Yes. You know? And now it's like for playing, you playing baseball,
Everybody get a trophy. Don't matter if you're the best one on there. And it shouldn't be like that.
Only the one who puts out that effort should be the one. Make those other ones wanting to be that way. But if you're giving everybody the same,
dude,
why do you want to try?
Here's the thing. I am the biggest loser I've ever met in my life. And I'm telling you right now, if it wouldn't have been for those losses that I experienced,
you would not be where you're at today.
Ain't no way I wouldn't be half the man that I am now.
Exactly.
I have lost over and over and over again. And every time I lose, I think to myself the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
What did Thomas Edison say? He tried 10,000 times to make the incandescent light bulb.
Yeah.
But he said, I just learned 10,000 ways that it doesn't work. That's it. You know?
That's a good way to look at it. I didn't look at it like that. Yeah.
I mean, losing ain't a big deal.
No,
but
it's not. You learn from it, though.
But everybody can't be a winner all the time. No. You got to experience loss in your life in order for you to be a well-rounded individual.
Yes, amen on that.
All right, man. Let's get out of here.
I agree.
I don't know what time it is. We've been in here a long time.
Damn.
And I just expect us to talk a little bit.
Well, see, great mind works together. Shit, we'd be here all night.
There you go.
Hey.
Well, maybe we solve some of the world's problems.
Yes. I know. At least I feel better venting a little bit. I mean, shoot, man. I appreciate it, man. And again, having me on here. So thank you.
Yeah, and just tell your people, man, that, keep trucking. Don't give up. Vote in the next round.
Yes.
Make your voices heard. Be loud, man.
That's it. You're going to be there with me, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's do it. Boys together.
There you go.
We're going to change it, brother.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, there you have it. And Alan Taylor, Hank Vatt, man, we're out of here.
Yeah,
All
buddy.
right, catch you later.